Alright, hello and welcome back to the Divine Deception. Tonight we're going to be continuing up the next part from Vel's storyline, Outsplayed, which sounds like a double pun, both in terms of outsplayed and outplayed. But either way, that does sound like things could go badly. So far we haven't played a player character who won't survive doesn't survive until the end, but that doesn't mean it won't happen, especially given the kind of story we're doing here. Holly's place is pretty cool, huh? I suppose. You suppose? What could you possibly have to complain about? Nothing in particular, that's why it's, I suppose, pretty cool. I'm just not particularly struck by its amazingness or anything. Well, damn. What high standards you must have. I haven't stayed in a place half this fancy my entire life. This whole laying low thing working out pretty good in my book. Well, for being technical, it's not really Polly's place. It's the late Veronica Collins's. She died in this very house. Wait, is that right? Ugh, gross. Do you think it's like haunted or something? Haunted? Really? Krish, even you can't seriously believe in ghosts. I mean, not really, but I mean, it's not a fun thought, okay? Yeah, it's easy to see why you'd be uncomfortable in a place I would be uncomfortable in a place where someone died, after all. Ghosts or not, it's not a pleasant thing to be. You cannot believe in something and still be creeped out, you know? I mean, you don't believe in the monsters in horror movies, but they're still scary, right? That's a valid point, I guess. Dang, that's actually a pretty astute observation from Krish there. Well, description, I mean. And anyways, who cares if Veronica Collins used to live here? Like I said, she's dead, so she's been dead. Polly owns a house, ergo, henceforth, verily, this counts as Polly's place. So my description's still right. You didn't need all three of those antecedents. Including all of them actually makes you sound less refined. But anyways, that is another valid point. Really on a roll today, Krish. You know, that's a nice thing to say, but somehow the way you're saying it makes it sound demeaning. I'm sorry, I really am. It's just very easy to poke fun at you. That's not a good reason. It's not, I apologize. And again, with your words you apologize, and yet somehow I don't particularly believe you all that much. I was being legitimate that time, really. If you say so, but thin ice. Alright. Anyways, you're right. This place is nice. Got a lot of different rooms, spacious, pretty nice looking. I've never been someone who really got aesthetics and stuff, but even I can tell it's pretty swanky. I'm pretty sure the reason you like this place doesn't have anything to do with all that. Oh yeah? I think any house with a personal library, and excessive snacking food, and decent bed would leave you impressed. But guilty as charged. And hey, what can I say? I'm a simple person. I know what I like. I'm a simple person. I see something I like, I click. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Conversation with Krish was casual and light. That's good. I want to keep their spirits up. It's important that things felt normal. Krish didn't handle pressure well, and if they began to crack, well, that wasn't happening. At any rate, I didn't need to get them worked up over nothing. To that end, I also gave a bit of a white lie about why I actually was here. I said I wanted to spend more time with Polly and Krish, just to hang out. I had time, and that wasn't wrong per se, but the real reason was because I planned to make good on my protection promise that I made with Polly. Not just for the deal's sake. If shit went down, Krish was likely to get caught up in it one way or another. I didn't want their position compromised, and keeping Polly around while he owed me was also probably to my advantage. So then why was I suspicious of tonight? Well, I had put a couple of defense measures in place for this house. A few were obvious, but one was less so. I scattered small glass pieces around the perimeter of the house and covered them with leaves and foliage. If someone plans an assault on the house, they'd probably try and do some reconnaissance, and I'd get around my way more obvious defense measures. Earlier today when visiting, I did one of my usual regular glass checks. Sure enough, some of them, the glass shards, were a lot smaller. Somebody had been snooping around. Now, that didn't necessarily mean an attack was happening tonight. It didn't even necessarily mean anything at all, but, well, better safe than sorry. That is a nice place. Still, I don't think I'll ever really gow rich people decorate interiors. I mean, look at that. I pointed to a large, thin metal bowl sat on a glass table, still next to a couch. In the metal bowl was a number of conch shells, starfish, and other undersea-themed items. And what's the deal with that? Why is that there? Why a large, thin bowl that's too big for what it contains? Why the aquatic theme? There's no traces of aquatic themes in the room. Bells, not all interior decoration has to come from a line of thought put into it. Sometimes things are just the way they are because they look kind of cool. The bowl and the items look kind of cool. That's why they're there. I mean, fine, but if that's the case, the price tag on decorations like this are really unjustified. Hey, you don't know the price tag on those decorations? I can make a fair guess. Hey, value's relative. I guess. You know, it's rare for you to be the one to get caught up in small talk. You're absolutely right. We should be discussing some important things. How are things on the Olympo front? Does Polly have an actionable plan to get some power? Define actionable. Alright, that answers that. Okay, the two of us have been doing some brainstorming. That must have been fruitful. Hey, it has been. There's basically two ways in which Polly can take over Olimpo. On one hand, we can get Odin to respect Polly. That seems like a bit of an uphill battle, right? Sort of, but Polly's been putting in the required legwork, cleaning up his image, chipping in more with the company. None of this matters alone, of course, but it does make it more plausible that Odin could favor Polly in the future. I don't know how much I believe in that line of attack. It doesn't look super promising, I'll admit, but you know, Odin's fickle, apparently. We should be on the lookout for chances to impress him. And what's the other option? Well, we could try dragging Art down. If there's enough public sentiment against him, he'll bow out himself. Or if not, Odin could potentially force him out, all in the name of keeping Olimpo alive. That seems like a much more plausible strategy. Art's probably super dirty in some way. It's just a matter of finding his specific weakness. Well, not just finding the weaknesses, we have to get proof of it. That could be tricky. Kara's apparently got some contacts that she can try and use to scrounge up information, and that's what we're waiting on now. Well, it's a start, at least. I can't criticize too much. After all, it's not like the Dwarf front's been shored up too much anyways. No? Yeah, well, it's not a horrible situation. From what I've heard, the active hunt for you was pretty much all but died down. You never liked the highest priority target. You was just worried you'd be a liability. Is that right? Yeah, but if you're busy laying low, then you don't pose a threat by rallying people again. In his eyes, that's as good as you being dead. Still, doesn't mean you can go back to your normal life anytime soon. You need to come up with a more permanent solution. And you have any ideas about that? Hit on you, from what I can tell, is not a universal duat order. It's at the command of Yi, which means if Yi is no longer in power, you are not in danger. Bells, you're not talking about to killing Yi, are you? That's a little extreme for my tastes. All I'm saying is that in some way, Yi needs to lose his power in the duat organization for you to be safe. Beyond that, I'm clueless. Damn. Well, thanks for looking into things. No problem. Sorry I have to stay holed up in this place any longer. Nah, it's not a problem. In fact, I kind of like being stuck in one place. Makes me focus more. Actually, get this. I've actually gotten started on that book I wanted to write. No shit. Yep. Turns out confinement is all I needed to get some motivation. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, well, you know what they say. Motivations don't need to be pure, for lack of a better term. They just need to work. Yeah, well, I don't know if it's actually going to be any good. I'll be the judge of that. You want to look at what I got so far? Yeah, all of a sudden I stopped speaking. I remained silent. Bells? I kept silent. I listened out closely. Did you hear something? No, did you? No. I thought I heard something, but it was so faint I wasn't sure if my mind was just playing tricks on me. I wasn't sure if I could even call it hearing something. It was more of a gut feeling. Thought of those words like a dirty phrase. Gut feelings shouldn't be relied on. They shouldn't make you hear noises you can't verify, but here I was, dancing a feeling. A house, hidden in trees and grass. Krish and I walked over with the computer setup. I let Krish type in the password and open up monitoring program. Two of us just scanned the screens. I don't see anything. No, everything looks to be in place. Were you sure you heard something? Very much not so, but... No, I wouldn't say everything's in place, huh? See, look at this camera. I pointed to the relevant section. The leaf's fallen right in front of it. Half the view is now covered. So, leaves fall. Just a bit of bad luck. Right, but then take a look at the screen. This time, the right side's been obscured by fallen leaf. This is what we get for setting the cams below some trees. No, Krish, think for a second. What's relevant about these two leaves? I let Krish figure that out for themselves. Maybe now wasn't the best time to quiz them, but I couldn't help myself. Oh, both these cameras are showing the same part of the house. The same part of the house is covered by the leaves. Both of them in conjunction have created a blind spot in our defenses. That can't be a coincidence. I certainly don't think so. Krish turned around and began walking towards the closest door. Whoa, Krish, what are you doing? Krish, whoever's out there, what's up? Wait. What? Let's not just go out there and start screaming out our presence, okay? Right now we have an advantage over whoever put those leaves there. I don't think they know we're here. As long as that remains the case, we've got an edge. Okay, so what should we do? Alright, let's think. What are they hoping to do by covering those cameras? They probably covered that specific spot because they'd otherwise be con tape, which means they're likely to approach the house from that angle. Which means, I tried visualizing the whole house for a second, then I turned and pointed at a nearby back door. They should be entering through that opening. You sure? No. Oh, but I'm pretty confident. So if we know where they're going to come from, we can counter the attack. I'm going to hide next to that door, ready to strike. You go wake Polly. I know it's late, but it probably warrants disturbing him. I'd say. Sure you're okay by yourself? Obviously. Besides, once you wake Polly, you two should come back here, cool? Right. I'll go handle that. Sounds good. Just like that, Krish went over the staircase looking to wake up Polly. I squatted down, ready for the door to swing open any second now. I knew coming here was a great decision. My gut instinct should be respected more, apparently. We'll say that your gut is just your subconscious mind. The gut instincts are actually things that you've thought out quite a lot without even realizing it. I wasn't sure how much that helps things. I personally prefer conclusions I make consciously as opposed to leaving the work to the back recesses of my brain. Still, in times like these, maybe gut instincts weren't all that bad. And speaking of which, a new deadly one was creeping up on me, a gut instinct of doubt. Things really this straightforward. I mean, just going through the back door seems a little simplistic. Could things be that easy? Oh, sure it could. This wasn't a well-thought-out argument. Just because something seems easy doesn't diminish its likelihood. Then why was I getting an uneasy feeling? Oh, I see. Polly's room's not far, and it's an urgent situation. It might not have been a lot of time. It's still already been too long. I should have heard something, anything coming from upstairs. Instead, I've been silent, deadly silent. Against my better judgment, I stood up, wanted to go check on them myself. The moment I got up the staircase, I realized my decision ravine was absolutely right. As a matter of fact, I came to the decision at the right time, precisely the right time. Any longer, and who knows what would have happened. I don't want to think about that. At the top of the stairs, I saw Krish and I saw someone else. They were wearing a black hoodie, a face mask, and gloves. It was dark. It was hectic. Even despite it all, I could recognize them. That was the person I saw interacting with Governor Ija. I had a picture of their face. Then, was the assassination attempt coming from Ija? That didn't make sense. Well, it's not like I had time to think about that right now, because there's something else that caught my attention. Something far more pressing. See, Krish and the mysterious man weren't just standing next to each other. No, the mystery man was behind Krish. Krish's face was flustered, they were struggling, grasping their neck. It was hard to see the darkness, but after a moment spotted, the mystery man had thin black wire. He had it wrapped around Krish's throat. Right now, Krish was being strangled. Shit. The second I had spent any time analyzing this scene was a second I couldn't spare. Determined not to waste a moment more, I ran up the stairs, and then when I got to the top, I rushed to the mystery man. I threw a punch right at him. Unfortunately, before the strike could land, he let loose the wire and lifted his arms to block. Krish, for their part, limped aside to the nearby restroom and tried to catch her breath. That's fine, Krish, I'll handle this myself. Threw another punch at Mr. Man, but again he blocked it. Tried to close the distance with an uppercut, but this time he swayed out of the way. Damn, what the hell, why wasn't this working? I threw another straight jab. This time, though, Mystery Man wasn't content to just evade. He got out of the way and grabbed my outstretched arm. Then he had me in a lock, pushed me over, and knocked me against the wall. Before I could recompose, he reached out and grabbed my head. He slammed against the wall again and again. There was a rush of 3 slams before I broke 3, stumbling to the ground. Ah, damn it, what's going on here? I was so dazed, didn't have the composure to get out of the way when Mr. Man sent a cook to my prone body. Effer! I was knocked back and almost to the edge of the staircase, a bit more distance, and I've tumbled all the way down. This blow, however, didn't stun me, it just pained me. Pain leads to aggravation to adrenaline. In an instant, I jumped back to my feet. Then, with blind fury, I rushed at Mystery Man. Once again, though, he's prepared for the attack. He intercepted my rush and grabbed hold of me. Before I knew what was happening, I could feel my body weight being lifted up, and then in an instant, I was flung forwards. It sent me right to the bathroom door, crashing into Krish in the process. The hell? Who was this guy? Was it a damn Aikido or something? Being able to redirect my whole body mass told me all I needed to know about the man's strength, at least. It wasn't heavy, but still, a throw like that was no easy feat. In pain, both Krish and I reluctantly got to our feet. However, by the time we were back up, we were met with an unpleasant sight. Freeze. Standing at the restaurant door, the mystery man was blanding a pistol. It was aimed right at us. Oh shit. You don't need to die, just sit tight. I'll finish things and I'll be on my way. That's not... You think you have a choice. I just don't like needless killing. My brain was moving a mile a minute. You don't like needless killing. Weird philosophy for an assassin. Not impossible, mind you, but weird. Contradicted by the fact it sure looked like this guy was going to kill Krish when he had the chance. Couldn't be 100% on that fact, though. Maybe it was a different circumstance. What struck me was this guy was only pulling out the pistol now. Like, shouldn't have been the first thing you used. Guns are kind of a trump card. This guy might be super cocky about his fighting prowess. That might not even be the wrong attitude. But even still, slight mistake, he'd be dead. I don't think he'd take that risk. It's possible he just didn't have a natural time to pull it out in the fight. I was applying a lot of pressure, but what about with Krish? Krish was ambushed from behind, seemingly. Surely a gun could have just been used to fix it. Well, maybe not. Maybe the man got into a situation with Krish through a fight. No, that's the easy answer. What was the real answer? What was the man here to do? Well, there's one easy guess. He's there to assassinate Polly. That's why he came through the window, probably. Then does that give me some insight? Sure does. Here's a theory. If this guy didn't want to use the gun because he'd leave a gunshot in blood, he wanted to keep the job clean, hence the strangle kill. Right now, the gun was stalling us. It could be a temporary stopgap, however, one that let him plan how he wanted to deal with us. If he was an assassin, it's likely he did research on Polly's house. If he didn't know about our presence, Mystery Man might assume that nobody else knew of our presence. So then, if he strangled us both, disposed of our bodies in the woods, and he could still stage whatever crime he had planned, of course that line of thinking is flawed, since Kara didn't know about us. Mystery Man might not know that. This is a lot of speculation. Gambling idea, Mystery Man didn't want to use the gun as a big gamble. Well, this is quite literally a life-or-death situation. If there was a time to make a big gamble, let's all just... As the man put his eyes on Krish, I took my chance. In an instant, I leapt towards him. He was really willing to shoot at us. A pro like him would probably have an itchy trigger finger and shoot me dead there and then. However, that didn't happen. I was able to land a punch before he could truly react. Yes, score. That was a pretty big gamble. Then again, I guess she has a point. Bells has a point. So whatever it was, that he absolutely wanted to avoid shooting under any circumstances. And since I believe he's the assassin from the other storyline, we'll probably learn his reasoning exactly why there. Oh, now that I think about it, actually I haven't progressed that one as much as I was expecting. I guess I just got caught up in the others. I didn't mean to leave it to last, but it probably won't be, since I'm pretty sure I have to get all these stories done to get the final Jade Key. Injured, he backpedaled the hallway. I rushed out, hoping to land another strike. Fortunately, he made a quick recovery. He ducked my punch and shoved me backwards toward the stairs. I managed to avoid toppling back down. Before I could make another move, however, Krish rushed out right behind me. They tried to punch Mr. Man in a similar fashion. That probably wasn't a great sign towards my prospects. Fortunately, Mr. Man caught the punch dead on. With his free hand, he smacked Krish right in the side of the neck, stumbling the opposite direction from me. Mr. Man followed up by rushing and throwing another punch at Krish's head, which they just barely managed to block. At this point, I started regaining my composure. I was looking to rejoin. However, Misty Man took a sharp 180. Aimed right at me, rushed forward, and did something I never could have expected. He jumped up with both feet kicked out. Drop kick. Being honest, this was an attack I didn't remotely expect. I completely ruled out the possibility of it. I mean, that's not a good fighting move. It's not supposed to be, at least. But I couldn't exactly contest its efficacy at this context. No way to dodge, just close quarters. I did my best to block, but there was no stopping that momentum. And so I was sent backwards, stumbling down the stairs. That stumble quickly turned into a full collapse. Damn it, before I knew it, I was lying on my back at the bottom of the stairs. A second later, wham. I didn't really see what happened, but I'm sure as hell could guess. He jumped down and landed right on me. This was confirmed when he came into view. He wasted no time pressing the advantage. His legs shifted, my arms pinning me down. With his arms, he reached out at my face, and then in an instant, didn't go for my throat. No. With both his thumbs, he began to push my eyeballs. No. I saw what he meant to do, and I began struggling, but I couldn't get free. I didn't have enough energy, not from this angle. Time slowed to a crawl. I could only turn a scream as the gloves came close. Then they reached my eyes. Closed them, of course, but then again, pushing, I felt indescribable pain, and then relief. As soon as I felt the pushing, it stopped. The pressure in my arms came to a halt. Opened my eyes to see what happened, but it didn't particularly do me a whole lot of good. Still, I could assume what happened. Krish must have been short on the Mystery Man's heels. Just after he jumped down, so did they. Actually, I could hear the two struggle out of sight. God, for Krish, seriously. A second more, and... damn, a half second more, my eyes might have received some permanent damage from the Psycho. Holy shit. If it wasn't very much a deadly situation, I'd be reeling from panic. Fortunately, I don't have that luxury. I knew Krish's fighting capabilities, and now I had a decent chance of understanding Mystery Man's. Fighting my injuries, I got to my feet. Rubbed my eyes, trying to come to my senses. In a few seconds, I was back to relative competence. Fortunately, those were a few rough seconds for Krish. Right now, they were on their knees, reeling from below. Mystery Man reached up with a great force, landed another strike on top of Krish's head. Krish reeled. Mystery Man lifted his arm once more, clearly winding up for another strike. However, at this point, I'd made my way over to him. I grabbed his arm mid-air and used it to turn Mystery Man around somewhat. Then I landed one solid strike to his face. Ha! That was satisfying. Mystery Man stumbled back. I helped Krish back to their feet. The earlier encounter proved something to me. I needed their backup to win this fight. At this point, it looked like Mystery Man was on some tilt. He rushed forwards, trying to punch me right in the side of the head. I dodged backwards, and Krish tried to kick him in the side. The kick actually landed, though Mystery Man quickly turned back and retaliated with a hook that missed. We had him in a compromised position. Krish and I were on either side of the Mystery Man, now to beat down. With a mere look between the two of us, we came to an understanding. Then we both rushed in and punched and kicked the best we could. It was a bit of a blur what happened next. It was almost hypnotic with how the Mystery Man reacted. Despite being attacked on two fronts, he weaved between dodges and blocks, fending off both sides. Oh damn, this guy has Ultra Instinct on his side. No matter what we tried, we couldn't quite get an attack to land. Finally, Mystery Man saw an opening. He was able to land an uppercut right to Krish's gut, crumpling them. Then seamlessly, he turned around and bicycle kicked me right in the forehead. I'd be upset, but being 1,000% honest, I think I was just a bit impressed that I'd actually been bicycle kicked. Again, alright, this wasn't working. Up against the couch, I realized this guy might not want to use weapons, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't. Look around, I saw something in the corner of my eye that took my attention. I began to make my way towards it, but just then, all three of us on the ground floor turned our attention to the stairs. Yo guys, I'm into partying Zexi, but it's pretty late. Could you please keep it? Hey, friendo, what's happening? The Mystery Man let out an audible sigh. Oh, it. The moment I saw his arm move aside, I knew what was about to happen. Look, reacting to words that come up is all fine and good, but this whole thing was created because I didn't want you to be passive, and I worry you're just going to replace passively reading with passively reading clicking a button. That's no good. You click the button when I want you to, not when you want to. Sometimes an opportunity presents itself when ideas are coming to you. Just happens to immediately hit it before the timer runs out. Face the consequences. Oh, this is another action minigame. We'll just skip it then. In the distraction caused by Polly's appearance, I'd already grabbed the thin, wide metal bowl-like plate sitting nearby glass table. I figured that or the starfish would be ideal weapons. If I could throw in the direction of Mystery Man, but that split second, my instincts told me the bowl wouldn't make it in time if I threw it directly. So a move that a calmer, saner me would never have dreamed of, I threw the bowl at Polly, or rather the space in front of Polly. At the same time, he took out his pistol and fired the shot. Polly must have really been blessed by a god or something, because the bullet really did hit the plate mid-air. I didn't quite catch the interaction, but whatever happened, I'm pretty sure I saved Polly's life. However, instead of watching that, I was rushing right to the Mystery Man. Before I could get off another shot, I grabbed the hand with which held his pistol. The two of us began to wrestle for control of the gun. I could feel he was stronger than me, but I had an idea. I slammed my head into his. Ow. Both of us recoiled in pain. Not my best idea. However, in the interaction, the pistol dropped the floor. I tried to kick it towards Krish before my foot could make contact. Mr. Man stomped top of it. Looks like we were thinking roughly the same lines. My kick failed. Mr. Man himself kicked the pistol along the floor, skidding out of the couch. He probably figured this tense melee. In this tense melee, he wouldn't have enough free time to actually successfully pick up the gun. Since there were three of us, there were a lot more chances for one of us to get our hands on it. Again, lightning quick analysis on parts of Mystery Man. My faith in our ability to actually gather this alive was rapidly depleting. No, I couldn't have those doubts now. I was in the middle of a tense fight, in case I forgot. I had to stay in the moment. Tried pushing him, but he grabbed my arms handily. Behind him, Krish began to run in for another attack. Fortunately, the Mystery Man was just as aware of this. As soon as Krish got in range, the Mystery Man let out a powerful kick to the side of their head. The smack of the impact would sound satisfying if not for the context. Bringing his attention back towards me, with the same leg, he tried to roundhouse me in the gut. I let go of his arms and backed away just in time. It was at this point I noticed Polly rushing off toward the kitchen in the corner of my eye. I didn't even have the mental capacity to even form an opinion on this. I just made a slight note of it. Recovering from the kick, Krish ran right at Mystery Man. You have to give it up for their persistence. However, this time Mystery Man grabbed Krish by the back of the head, then he smashed Krish's face against his knee. Krish cried out in pain. You might expect Mystery Man to try and follow up on this. However, as soon as he had targeted Krish, he took a step towards me and another kick right at me. This time I had more than anticipated the attack. I didn't just dodge, I was able to catch Mystery Man's outstretched leg midair. Then when I had his leg in my hand, honestly speaking, my mind sort of went blank. I didn't expect to get this far, and I can't just punch his leg in the way his joints should be able to bend. Okay, that seemed to work well. Mystery Man wormed free and in pain looked bounced backwards twice, putting some distance between himself, Krish, and I. It was at this point Polly came rushing back, holding a pot with his hands. Oh, I see, he was escaping for a weapon, and the pot was the best thing he could find? Mystery Man, for the first time in the fight, looked genuinely angry. You little pests! I noticed he was reaching into his pocket. Never a good sign. For a second, too, he found what he was looking for. Looked like a small metal capsule. A metal one? Couldn't parse it, but when the Mystery Man pushed down on it, I had a bad idea, and then when he threw it on the floor in front of me, my idea was confirmed. Luckily, and what I had to assume was a rare moment of clarity for Polly. For him, Polly was actually with me in terms of thought process. Vels! Without hesitation, he threw the pot he held over to me. I didn't even need to think twice about what to do. I reached out and caught the pot midair. Then as soon as I had my hands, I to cover the metal capsule on the floor with the pot. At the same time, I bent down, pressing my knee down on it. No sooner had I encapsulated the metal capsule than I feel a strong force pushing out. It wasn't a slow build or anything, it was instant. Just like that, I was soaring backwards. Yeah, she basically just fell on a grenade there. The pot was sent flying wildly in the air. The metal capsule was some sort of mini grenade. Definitely just a mini grenade, though. I didn't want to imagine what would happen if that was a real one. Yeah, generally, well, people in the movies will sometimes use their army helmet or something. Usually the shrapnel will still go through it and go after the person doing that. If you're falling on a grenade, even with something to cover yourself like that, it's generally expected that the person doing that is sacrificing themselves for the sake of everyone else. As it is, the pot barely contained the blast. If it were a full explosion, I'd probably be in pieces, honestly speaking. At any rate, if I wanted to feel shitty about my chance of survival, I didn't need to come with hypotheticals. I was already knocked against the back wall due to the mini grenade. However, even as I was being sent back, I needed to know to recover ASAP. Mystery Man sure as shit wasn't going to be lying on his ass recovering. And sure enough, as soon as I hit the back wall, I saw Mystery Man run straight towards me, both arms to the side. It was a dumb way of running. Why is he stringing his arm like, oh, damn it, seriously? Oh, I knew it in both hands. So, Mystery Man is holding a small black combat knives. Oh, damn it, I was about to joke about it, but it's true. The dude really is Naruto running. Did he have them up his sleeves? What sort of arsenal does this guy really go around on a regular basis? Whatever. Yet the psycho's not killing me. He got right up close to me to swing with a knife. At the last possible minute, though, I ducked and rolled out of the way. Yeah, dodge roll saves the day yet again. Quickly, I turned back around and got to my feet. As to be expected, Mr. Man's assault was far from over. Dual-wielding knives continued to slash. I did my best to stay out of range as he wildly slung, but it was far from a stable arrangement. I was keenly aware at any moment a slip-up on my part would leave me bleeding out slowly on the floor. Needless to say, I'd rather avoid that eventuality. Finally, in one particularly desperate-looking rush, saw an opening. I was able to grab an arm holding one of the knives. There was a brief power struggle. This time, however, I was able to win it conclusively. Mr. Man dropped the knife right into my hand. Taking the most of the opportunity, I swung. Fortunately, he was able to back out of the attack in time. I noticed that he put the hand holding his remaining knife into his pocket. Whatever, I need to push the offensive. I put 2 more steps forward and stabbed out at him. Then, before I knew what was happening, I felt a constriction around my arm. What the? Mr. Man had taken out the wire and cut my arm with it. He began to circle around me. Just swinging back, my arm was strung up. Instead, I moved, trying to hit him with my other arm. Just as soon as I thought so, I felt my knife-wielding arm come loose. As I swung with the other arm was caught by the wire. Instead of being wrapped up, however, Mr. M moved to wrap the wire under much more vital organ, before I could object to feel being choked out by the wire. It was wrapped around my throat. It wasn't until this point I realized just how thin this wire was, and you can't really resist a wire that's wrapped around your throat. You don't exactly have the muscles to do anything. Lucky for me, instead of directly choking me out, he used leverage to turn me around. Seeing Krish come running in, again looking to land a wild strike, but Mr. Man used me as a meat shield. As Krish approached, they faltered. Mr. Man used his faltering as opportunity. He rushed out and kicked Krish right in the stomach, sending them reeling back, as well as though I had seen Krish reel back a dozen times already in these few minutes. None of us were progressing, we were just fighting. Before I could expand on that profound thought, though, the brain in my oxygen started to cut out, and now Mr. Man was choking me out. It was horrifying, not able to think straight, feeling your life slip away. In a rage, I lashed out with the arm with the knife, hoping to blindly strike. I stabbed in the direction behind me, but nothing seemed to land. I could vaguely wire twisting, indicating Mr. Man was moving his body out of the way. Then I felt a sharp kick. Damn it, I'd fallen to my knees at this point. This wasn't gonna work. If I kept up, I'd be dead in a mere couple seconds. I couldn't count on help. If I didn't solve this tonight, I would die. Fuck that. This chump wasn't killing me. Passed my knife to my left hand, began trying to cut the wire. There wasn't exactly a clean angle to cut, but a lot of desperation. Somehow I was able to make progress, an absolutely soul-changing moment, and the tension snapped and my breath began to enter my lungs. Like Krish, however, I didn't fall to the floor gasping. I already knew what I wanted the moment I was free. I turned around and saw wildly what my assailant would be. Fortunately, I was on my knees, which meant Mystery Man was able to jump straight over the arc of the swing. In midair, he planted the tip of his boot right on my face. Since getting further on the floor, I knew if I just lay there, though, I'd be dead in a matter of seconds. As I gasped for air, trying to recompose myself, I also quickly scattered on all fours, going to from low to ground run, putting space between me and Mystery Man. To my side, Krish was also standing in a fighting stance. Mystery Man was just standing in front of us, glaring, and there, the side of the room, Polly spoke up. Hey, dude, I don't know what you want. He wants to kill you, Polly. Okay, I got that much, Vales. Thank you. My point is, I don't know why you're doing this, but I just called the police. They're on the way ASAP. They'll surround this place any minute now. Why should I care? Well, I mean, look, you kill all three of us. I'm sure you could. But I think the last few minutes have proven what the three of us are capable of working together. I think the three of us will be able to last at least a bit longer. By the time I actually finish your job, it'll be too late. The place is surrounded. You'll have no way out. We'll be dead, you'll be in jail. Really, nobody wins in that situation. To my surprise, the mystery man was actually considering what Polly was saying. This was a perfect opportunity to do something I was looking for the whole time. With his attention distracted, I suddenly took my phone out of my pocket. Without looking at the screen, I slid over the camera app and... Look, I'm sure your boss, whatever, is going to be happy that I didn't die, but I'm a public guy. I'm sure you'll get another shot at me. If you get captured here, that's it. That's end of the line. You rot in jail for the rest of your life, and that's all you'll ever amount to. And that doesn't need to happen to you, and we don't need to die, so you just, leave, please. Ah. The mystery man looked absolutely pissed. However, quickly he fished his hands in both pockets. Then he took out 2 more metal capsules and threw them on the ground simultaneously. Shit, the instant one of them hit the ground, my vision and hearing were robbed. Damn flashbangs. I tried to recover my senses as soon as I could. When I did, I saw the effects of the other grenade. A fire had broken out in the middle of the house. Mini incendiary. In the back, I could see Mystery Man fleeing. Oh no, not that easily, you dipshit. I began running his direction. Made my way out of the house as soon as I could, and I stayed on his trail as he ran out the back, out in the open grass. He had a lead, but I was fast. I would catch up to him. In the forest, I felt an impact from behind. What the hell? I tumbled to the floor with a mess on top of me. Krish? To my surprise, Krish had just tackled me to the ground. Come on, what was this? Because this mystery man was totally gonna lose me. Once in the forest, at this time of night, I had no manner of tracking him. No one chance of staying an eye shot, and I'd just been blown. What the hell, Krish? What the hell, Krish? What the hell, Vels? What are you thinking? What do you mean, what am I thinking? I'm going after Mystery Man, and I'm asking why. Why? He just tried to kill us? Fucking exactly. He tried to kill us. Why are you chasing after him alone? To stop him. Don't. Vels, what was going to stop him from turning around and just shooting you in the face as you got closer? What are you going to do if that happened? He probably doesn't have another gun. If he did, he would have gone for it in the house. You don't know that. I can assume that. You're gonna bet your life on an assumption. I mean, I did like 5 times back to back there. Fine, whatever. He doesn't have a gun, so you still couldn't capture him. That right. It is. I don't know what you saw, but he kicked your ass. He kicked both of our asses. He tried to kill us, and he didn't. We won. On a technicality, 3-1, barely. Do you seriously think trying to fight him alone in the middle of the forest is a good idea? You're gonna get yourself killed. I need to catch him. Why? Our job was to save Polly. We did that. Drop it. For once, Krish was right. Running directly after the mystery man was a dumb prospect. Okay, you're right, Krish. Thank you. I was worried you'd be stubborn about this. I'm not you. Anyways, we should get back to the house as quickly as possible. I've got to brush past it, but a fire did seem to start in there. We should try and put it out, or at the very least make sure Polly's fine. Oh shit, you're right. Come on, let's go. Krish got up and began running back to the house right away. A part of me wanted to follow them. However, I turned around and continued to run in the forest. Sorry, Krish, but some things were better handled alone. You're right, just blindly following after the mystery man was dumb, but that didn't mean there wasn't something else I could do about it. Wonder how it feels to come into a point in your life where people are getting paid to kill you. What's your emotional response to that? Well, I guess it depends on what we're talking here. I've got a few ideas of what led to this. I mean, we know from Laverna's story that Polly somehow knew who this mystery man was, but he also had some sort of attachment to them or some reason not to reveal them to us. Which means he doesn't have a good relationship to them since they were ordered to kill him and all, but he also has a good enough relation. Okay, so yeah, they were ordered. He's fine with keeping them safe because they were ordered to kill him on someone else's dime. He didn't want to get them out because, I don't know, connection? Pride, guilt, fear, surprise. Oh yeah, I was also going to mention, if I remember right, I was going to bring up how the No More Heroes universe seems to have it so that if you become famous for basically any reason, you're pretty much always going to be immediately assassinated unless you either hire a bodyguard or are an assassin yourself. And of course, player character for Travis Touchdown is himself an assassin, so he's got a pretty easy time as long as the player is competent. Or maybe when you get to that point, you just expect it. You don't have a strong reaction. Well, Polly certainly seemed to have a fine reaction to it. Imagine it's context dependent. Anyways, good thing for Polly that Vels was there, and that Vels was the same old paranoid nutcase. Glass under leaves, I'll admit that's a new one. Might have to steal that one. Though I have to say, it seems like Vels isn't quite the gladiator warrior I thought. One day you're handling a 4v1 against gang members, the next day you're losing a 1v3 against an assassin. Yeah, that leads to the very clear. Well, first of all, the gang members, aside from the fact gang members usually don't have professional training, they also had. She also got the jump on them while she didn't. No, she did get the jump on the assassin here. It's just that somehow the assassin knew that they were there, despite Polly and Kara supposedly keeping it on the down low. Which means not only is he a professional trained assassin, but he also has an information network that is much stronger. It must be Ija. So yeah, it seems Ija has a hand in all this in some fashion. Feels bad. I guess our mystery man must be that good. To all parties' credit, the fight did go on for a while without a clear winner. Took up most of the scene, in fact. Sorry, the visuals were a low par. Look, second intense action seems up in this thing's a real pain in the ass. I'm already putting too much work in the glorified test run. I'll forget about my stupid blabbering mouth. Let's talk about you. Would you want Assassin try and kill you? Hey, what was that? Cool, cool, very interesting. Oh, it's a bit of a chat. See you soon. Yeah. I absolutely chose that because I was the one most likely to mess with her. Well, I'm going to be... Let's finish off Vel's story and we'll do the assassins last. I'm already going this far. Smuggled ringers. Getting to the Olimpo building was not a difficult partly. They located main headquarters in the center of Panthea. Yeah, I guess I should give a theory I have from the last episode. Last time we learned that Odin had given a fake change um to his will that was supposedly to mess with both Lara, the Duats, and Olimpo. I have the feeling Vel's behind that, if we're blunt. Well, first of all, because we already know Locke wasn't behind it. Or at least as far as we know, Locke wasn't behind it. But Vel's also... And Vel's is the other person we know who does shady things who hasn't already done it yet. I mean, it could be the assassin, I suppose, but in that case, why would Eris need to keep it sealed? No. Eris kept Odin sealed in his own basement because she needed to make sure that Olimpo was passed on to someone who would immediately dissolve it. There's also the tallest building around. They really made it feel like Panthea was Olimpo's. Or at the very least, Olimpo was Panthea's. One of the two. Point is just like the company to feel like an inherent part of the city's economy. The company's headquarters felt like an inherent part of the city proper. Whatever, at this point I mused over the size and location of Olimpo's headquarters 10 times more than any sane person should. What was I doing? I had things to do. I should just enter. So enter I did, but then made my way to the front desk receptionist. Hello? I'm here to have a meeting with Polly Dysma in his office. Could you please let me up to see him? That right. I'm sorry, Miss Visitor, but Mr. Dysman's office is on a restricted floor. I can't let just anybody up there. You know, approve this meeting. I can't do anything. I sighed, then I pulled out my phone. I took out a moment to call a number. Hello? Hey, Polly, it's me, Vels. I'm at the Olimpo main building. Oh, already? That's cool. Hey, look, I'm a little busy at the moment, but just go up to my office and meet as soon as I can. Yeah, that's what I was going to do, but I can't get to your floor. Apparently it's restricted or something. Is Ambi giving you a hard time? Put me on the phone with her a second. Sure thing. I was told handing my phone to the receptionist. Oh, hi, Polly. Okay, most certainly. Okay, got it. Nice talking with you, too. The receptionist hung up and then handed me back my phone. Alright, you're good. She then reached into a small basket in front of her and fished out a card out of it and handed it to me. These are visitor's pass IDs, good for one elevator pass up, one down. That should work for you. Thank you. Happy to help. That minor hurdle jumped and I passed by the receptionist table and made my way to the nearby elevators. I entered, scanned the ID, pressed a button to star next to it. Next thing I knew, I was going up. The doors opened, and here I was on the restricted floor. Progress. I walked forward and was greeted with a restricted floor security station. Visitor. You could say. Alright. Put any metal objects and personal belongings on the tray. Walked to the metal detector. I just nodded. I took the phone out of my pocket, put it on the tray, then I stepped forward and moved to the metal detector. Zeth still thought it would be worthwhile to give me a quick pat down. He also gave my phone a quick look, then he handed me back to me a nod. Good to go. Cool. Man, how obsessive was that? I guess it was warranted, but still, I walked further down the hallway, passing some doors. I got to a turn, went left. Eventually, I came to Polly's office. I was going to enter right away. Then I stopped. I heard something. Someone. I got close to the nearby door, which was the source of the speaking, which admittedly probably looked like a proper sketch to anyone who might pass by at this point in time. Let's just bet against that being a thing that happens. I wanted to hear what was being said, because in the room I heard Art Dusman's voice. He was having a heated conversation. I tried to hear what I could pick up. Yes, I know. My fault, I should have handled it. Can we get past that, please? You know I don't know why we're having this conversation in the first place. I didn't come asking for your advice. Honestly, no, I don't care how. I'm sure you have your ways. Sorry if that hurt your feelings. I'm just cross, for perhaps obvious reasons. Well, I mean, if you're already offering. No, I'm aware of that. The issue is that as it stands, she's an incredibly compromised position. If she's compromised, then she can't help me, and she can't help a limpo. But what can we do? There are no leads, and with her... What? No, that can't be right. The situation was handled. She wouldn't have come to me. Alright, well, that doesn't sound handled. That sounds like a stopgap. Such negotiations have already proven entirely fruitless. It's not simply attempting the same trick. That's not simply attempting the same trick different way. Yes, this time we'd have the hidden knowledge, but that doesn't change the core issue. Alright, fine, if that's really adequate. You know, you are the one who taught me to be complete, and your tone seems very much in line of good enough. Again, I know you've never liked her, and that isn't the point. I heard Art loud deep sigh. Just, if any of this really necessary, no, I mean any of it. We're a monolith of a company. The sort of actions beneath us, we should not have to rely on such underhanded methods. Is a such total dominance necessary? I think that she's referring to as Aija because she called in order to make an assassination attempt. Rather, it's a lot more impressive if we were able to achieve it without stooping below our level. Who says? Who says methods don't matter? Why not? Why shouldn't they? Yeah, burden of proof, I understand. I don't know. Because I'm just tired of it all. People getting hurt or the scheming, it's draining. Yes, of course. Nothing worthwhile is easy. I know that quite well, but even still. No, I'm not questioning you. You know what? Forget it. I don't know why I decided to talk with you of all people about this. My tone? I'm sorry to hear that. Pray tell, what will you do about it? Let's not forget who runs Olimpo. Just doing as you're said. Art's argument came to an end. Interesting stuff to be inferred there, however, I instantly realized something. The call was ending. Immediately, I rushed to the other side of the hallway. Opened the door to Polly's office, and as soon as I entered, I closed the door behind me. At the same time, I heard a door opening on the other side of the hallway. I stayed put, pressed against the door, not daring to get inside the windows. I strongly prefer Art not to see me. Did you hear the sound of a door slamming shut? That question was answered with a tentative knock on the door. I just stayed put, not moving, breathing, just waiting. A few moments later, I thought I heard the sound of footsteps leaving. Ah, thank God. Looks like Art got bored or something. I took a breath and began walking around the office. It was nice enough. A number of things scattered about. I would normally take in the scenery, but I was more focused on something else. Let's see. Ah, that looked like it would do. I walked over the bookshelf at the side of the office. A bookshelf I highly doubt was ever put to much use. Well, I'd be putting it to use today. I lifted up one of the books at the top shelf. Beneath it, I left a little present. I let the book drop back down, mostly covering it. It was good enough. So now I waited. I wasn't sure how long it'd take for Polly to get there. Part of me wanted to keep snooping around, but there probably wouldn't be much use. Instead, I took out my phone. Let's just kill time. Spent some time browsing through some apps. Then I heard the sound of the door opening. I looked up and sure enough, enter Polly Dysma. Ah, Vels, Polly. One more press of the screen for good measure. I stuffed my phone in the pocket. Then I straightened up, walking around the center of the room. Polly, for his part, just kept walking to his desk. He then took out a comfortable seat behind his desk. His desk seat was very comfortable and spun around. How nice. I like those types of chairs. Then again, who doesn't? It's a binary choice. Either you have a chair that lets you spin around, or you have a chair that doesn't. Doesn't exactly take a genius which situation's winning. Vels, what's up? Good to see you, mi amigo. Good to see you too, Polly. Glad I can. Considering everything, I decided to proceed with caution. I mean, I always had in the past, but even more so now. I spoke quietly. I made sure to look down. My hood obscured a lot of my face. Maybe it was a little cold, but I just felt best practices, you know. Couldn't be too safe. As am I. More so than you, I'd even wager. That's a wager I imagine you'd win. Aw, you wouldn't be weeping upon my death? Utterly unconsolable? I'd find a way to move on, somehow. How sweet. Seriously, I have to give you my deepest thanks. Honestly, when I picked you two up, I was sort of unconvinced. The idea was Kara's. Never could have thought, well, I guess I just underestimated Art. Never really thought he'd put my life in jeopardy for such material things. Really disillusioning, really stings. Sorry to hear that, Polly, that must suck. Oh, don't worry about it, I'll be fine. I mean, it's not like Art and I have really been close for a while. I mean, obviously. I guess I always held on hope that we'd be able to repair that bridge. Funny enough, I don't think we're gonna get over this one. Attempted assassination feels like the line. Like, maybe that's where you call it. Are you sure it was Art? I mean, it has to be right. I don't think anybody else would have a motive to kill me. Fair enough. Say, do you know the guy who actually tried to kill you? What? No, I, didn't. Why would I? I don't know, just got a weird vibe. No, I didn't. But speaking of, as I was saying, I don't know how I could ever repay you, Vels. Without your diligence, I would be dead. You literally saved my life, and I'll forever be in your debt. Seriously, whatever you need, I can hook you up. Good to know. For starters, you can let me in on what happened with Krish. Krish, don't you worry, I covered for them. Like, when the cops came, they told me Seth guy was dirty and how he couldn't be trusted. I was able to give them a head start, they got away just fine, hid their presence from the police. Really, Seth didn't find out. Nobody suspected a thing. Alright, maybe a small amount of people may have suspected a small amount of thing. But they probably thought it was related to me being a screw-up or something, so we're in the clear. Okay, good. That's good to know. What can I say? I know what's up. I'm good to my word. But now then, I can't imagine you have Chris staying in that burned down house. Yeah, no, unfortunately, with repairs happening there, that option isn't exactly viable. I have to get creative. Basically, before Chris left, I told them to hide in the forest for a bit and meet at a certain spot at a certain time. Then I drove them to the best hotel in Panthea and booked him a great apartment. Polly, are you serious? Hey, I'm not stupid, okay? You told me the situation. I know the Dwats are looking for Krish. I was careful about things, you know? It was strategic. I came late at night, paid the person at desk good to keep things on down low, and I dressed Krish up pretty heavily. That's the best part of. Here's the best part. I need a place to stay while the repairs are being done, so I booked the room in my name. Put everything on my dime. So you're rooming with Krish? Well, me? Being a burden like that on him? That'd be unfair. No, I'm staying with Kara for now, but still, paperwork like that is... Paperwork-wise, it'll look like it's me staying there, and Krish knows how to keep a low profile. They're smart. Still, the Dwat Information Network certainly is searching hotels. Still really on that, huh? Don't you think the Dwats have a bit more on their plate with some kid? They're monolith. They have a lot of agents. Sure, but hotels have already been pumped for info. They got nothing in the past. Why would Krish suddenly show up now? Still standard practice to keep them under surveillance, right? Sure, but to a diminished extent. It'll be fine, Vals. It's the best option. I didn't like it. Krish was still in more danger now than they had been before, but it's not like Polly was wrong per se. It seemed like a reasonable amount of precautions were taken. Ultimately, I had to concede that in all likelihood, Krish would be safe. Okay, thank you, Polly. I appreciate what you've done for Krish. Hey, don't mention it. No skin off my back whatsoever. Just looking out for the squad. I mean, doing this, kind of the least I could do, considering you two saved my life, don't you think? Correct? Right. So don't sweat it. I'm down to keep Krish out of the Duat eyes. Speaking of, Vels, what's your situation looking like? You're also put on the Duat watch list, right? Where are you staying these days? You know, here and there. Here and there. I make do. You don't need to worry about me. I'm fine, really. I really didn't want Polly to push on this point. For some reason, I felt like I'd have a hard time batting the issue away from Polly than I would Krish, and I didn't want the conversation to head in this direction. I already had conversational plans. Luckily, it seemed as though Polly didn't really care. Plan close to the chest. Telling only what you need to tell, I can respect that. It's smart, it's smart. Those are street smarts that keep you alive, you feel me? No, I appreciate your bluntness, Vels. So many people here at Olimpo, they're fake. Posturing, false smiles, the whole shebang. They never just say what they want, what they're thinking, but you, Vels, you're straightforward. You're honest, and I respect that. I try. Speaking of Olimpo, how are things going on that front? Still at a standstill? Well, you know, it's all about how you look at things, you know? Standstill's a real negative term. I like to manifest positive things. Okay, but is it not a standstill? No, not really. I mean, on the big issues, yeah, we're not making a ton of, you know, poly performance using hand signals, forward motion, but on the sides, there are all sorts of progression. The sides? You know, the peripherals, things that aren't directly tied to progress but help. I've been making inroads at the company, towing the old company line, helping people out, not just in the casual way, but like an official capacity, learning the culture. Generally befriending other big shots, and this is useful because, look, I believe in a thing called the power of the people, like forming coalitions, befriending everyone I can. You never know who will end up being helpful at some point down the road, so for your information, I think this is very useful work. It's just not that obvious. I guess, still, I prefer advancements that are actually tangible. Yeah, same, but who knows? A shareholders meeting is approaching pretty soon, maybe there'll be an opportunity there. Think an opportunity just fall into your lap? Hey, it's always possible. Alright, enough was enough. Time to see how things will play out. I began to casually pace around the office, made my way to the bookshelf, looked at it with feigned interest, and now... I noticed something. I reached up, delicately pushing a book up. I noticed something was being covered up. This whole time, Polly would watch me with vague interest as he spoke. However, as I lifted the book, he began to focus in. Awesome. I pulled out a little baggie hidden below the book. Hey, this is... What the... Polly jumped up in surprise. What is that? Hey, hand that over. Is it yours? No, I've got no idea what that's doing there, but you shouldn't have it. That right. I maintained a stone face. Polly's freakout was understandable. He probably was very confused. After all, he hadn't left any drugs into that book. I had. The average person in this position would react a similar way to Polly, but most would be more confused. Maybe even a bit of accusatory. However, there's a different hint in Polly's voice, hesitation. I ground the fact he wasn't sure whether or not that should be there. Whether he was just forgetting this little baggie or not. In other words, to Polly it was entirely plausible that this discovery was legitimate, as I'd expected. Oh, what's this? Huh? What's that doing there? I don't know. It's not mine. I've got no idea what it's doing there. I looked over the book again. Now, this is your office? Yeah, and maybe I'm being presumptuous, but I don't really know anyone who would hide drugs in your office. Seems pretty dumb. Surely there'd be better places. Car comes in here a lot. Comes in here all the time when I'm away. It's basically her second office. We basically share it. Gotta be hers then. It's Kara's, really? I mean, that's the only one thing I could think of. I didn't take her to have a drug habit. Neither did I. That's why this is coming as a surprise to me. Polly, you really expect me to believe this is Kara's stash? Polly looked down, conflicted. If I had to guess, he was legitimately asking himself that question. Ultimately, he landed on the reasonable answer. No. So it is yours? Probably, yeah. You're become the CEO of Olimpo. You're trying to become a better person. This isn't acceptable. Hey, that's not recent. It's not. Look, I've been clean for a while now. You must have found some of my older stuff. Even still, my tone came across incredibly judgmental. Hey, I told you I used to be a party animal. I know you did. I just didn't realize you were doing stuff this hard. What'd you think I was doing? I don't know, weed? Seriously? Bells, weed is like barely a drug. Okay, I really still like comments like that are not helping my case. Polly took a moment to breathe. Look, I'm sorry for freaking out. It's just, I'm not proud of this or myself and how I used to be. I said that, but this is a particularly dark chapter of my life. The person I was, look, I've got an addictive personality. It was very bad. There were just stretches of time I wouldn't remember. Seriously, that's the old me, and even still, I only ever harmed myself. I knew how to handle my trips. That was proving surprisingly effective. One baggie had put Polly in tragic backstory mode. This was the worthwhile plan. I mean, it's a bit costly, I had to actually buy the supplies, but as luck would have it, I was pretty avenue towards that regard. I have to say, as low as I've been, I never thought I'd be participating in drug deals. This was a slightly surreal experience. Bells, a new character to show up in the Breaking Bad reboot. They usually just happen via dead drops in the restroom hidey holes, or is that just the newest thing in the drug dealing meta? Perhaps I'd never know. So you're claiming you always had this under control. This habit of yours never got out of hand? No, I always kept it under control. I mean, as in control as I could reasonably keep it. Obviously, it wasn't like smooth or easy. This was a problem I faced alone and affected me alone. I made sure of that. I don't know about that, Bells. I did research on you, Polly, to make sure we were in safe hands. I always heard the rumors, gossip, general gossip mill, but I never knew any specifics, not until I went looking for them. And these scandals, they don't look good. They really, really don't look good. Where'd you get this from? Long ago, the Oracle put forth an article that compiled most of the relevant stories against you. The Oracle? Seriously? Look at that place, for real. Hey, don't shoot the messenger, and don't duck the question, Polly. You made a nuisance of yourself in the public several times, doing things that frankly seem insane, and they speculated at the time these incidents took place when you were on drugs. Looks like they were right. It's not like I was making an effort to hide it. A lot of those incidents I wouldn't call harmless. It wasn't that bad. Practicing karate on swans in the Central Park? Hey, that was a case of self-defense. Shouting at random kids where babies come from. I was provoked. Throwing a squirrel at a fast food window. Okay, I got nothing on that one. This is really bad, Polly. I know. Why do you think I wanted to change? God, what's your deal right now? Are you after me? After you? You turn against me or something? Are you working for art? Working for art? Are you serious, Polly? What possible reason would I have for that? Would you please be reasonable? Well, I'm trying to have a sensible conversation right now. You're making that quite difficult. You're right. I'm sorry. I am. Just, I get defensive about that stuff. Yeah, I'm not perfect. Yeah, I did some bad things in my past, but it's not like any of it was out of malice, Nothing serious, nothing permanent. Ballista. The moment I said the name, it was like a bomb had dropped. Polly completely froze up. Its face flashed with shock in a moment, that's how it stayed. Then it transitioned to fear, anger, confusion, fear again, regret, irritation, sadness, rage, then back to shock. Dang, his expressions really went through a spectrum. All in the space of a few seconds. That certainly settled things in my mind. Sorry, Callista, How did you... Callista, I think you're not... I was looking around comfortably. That was without a single word I was cornering him. He was physically recoiling. It's kind of pathetic, actually, almost sad. Almost. I want you to explain, Callista. How does that fit in your version of things? How is that not serious? Look, you don't get it. You just don't get it, okay? I don't know what you think you know, but it's totally wrong. Off base. So, let's move on. I'm mistaken. Yeah. Okay, then how? Huh? How am I mistaken? The whole Callista thing, you can't trust the thing that girl says, man. She's like totally unreliable. Super jilted. Because I was an asshole to her. I won't dispute that. I was a dick. Because of that, she apparently feels like she has carte blanche to say whatever she wants. And because of that, she's been spreading some really serious shit about me. None of it's true. It's scary. Like, seriously, but it's the truth. Callista was just lying? Probably. Okay, but then that's weird. Because as I understand, the reporter was actually pushing her to speak out more, to talk. If she was gonna spread malicious rumors, you'd think it'd be the other way, right? Ready to tell the truth? Look, the truth is, Callista doesn't know what happened that night, I'm sure of it. Neither am I. I blacked out and we went for shot, so I don't remember anything, there's no way she does. Anything she might have said, well, I think it's just her guesswork. She got bad vibes from me, again, not for unjustified reasons, so she jumped to the worst. I thought the worst about me. No, she thought the worst about me. Then when she realized she couldn't be spreading things she didn't know were true, she backed off. Nothing weird about that, right? It makes sense? Holly, you really should stop lying. Yeah. If you really don't remember what happened, you wouldn't call it an accident, and if she didn't remember what happened, you wouldn't have to talk it over with her. Okay, what the hell? How did you get all this information? Where's it coming from? Let's just say a little birdie came to me. A little birdie? What birdie knows about you? I got a private investigator look into you, and I couldn't find out about you. Holly, this isn't the point, we're talking about you. Fine, you got me, okay? I was a piece of shit. I did things I'm not proud of. I never denied that, I said it from minute one. You shouldn't have faith in me. I was a shitty person. I have a shitty past. You should be supporting me not because I'm worth it, because what I can do for my coworkers. I thought we were past this. You might have been past this. I was past at the time, but I never got past this because I didn't know about it. Alright, well now you do. What are you trying to accomplish? Why are you hounding me with random stuff from my past? Can't I try to move on to be a better person? This isn't just stuff, Polly. Whatever, whatever. Look, you don't get okay. You don't know how hard it is to be in my position. You don't know the things I went through in my childhood, okay? You don't know how it feels with the only comfort you feel to be found at the bottom of a bottle. You don't know how shitty it feels to not have control of yourself, to have to deal with what feels like another person's mistakes. There's so much stress in your life, you know? It's only natural that you're doing, Vels. Look at me, okay? Stop hiding behind that quiet voice, the stupid hoodie. What am I doing? What am I doing? Polly, what are you doing, huh? You ask why I was pushing you like this, why I was bringing all the shit you claim is in the past? You don't see how incredibly relevant that is? Fine. Let me make it clear to you. Right now, you've been asking me to support you in taking over the Olympo company. For me to do that, I need to make an informed decision as to who would actually be a better CEO. That involves assessing the character of both you and Art. You want to hear about Art? Because believe me, I got stories. I'm not talking about Art right now, Polly. I'm talking about you. You want to know what I think about you right now? No. I'm going to tell you. You're charismatic. People like you. I think people like you. I don't think you intend to do harm. That's a positive category. I also think you're utterly unfit to run a business. For your entire life, you've coasted off your last name. The majority of your life, haven't really done hard work. The bit of you willingly subject yourself to, as your brother accurately guessed, was nothing more than a token gesture. Something to make yourself feel better. I'm certain if you surveyed the people you work with, they would all say the same thing. They probably didn't say it to your face. Maybe because you really were above them at the totem pole. Maybe because you were affable. But almost certainly they all resented you, viewing you as the entitled brat you were. Entitled brat? Oh, trust me, it gets worse. You're also a crippling alcoholic and a habitual drug user. Both substances can be used recreationally without much harm. This is not one of those cases. There are serious problems, and your struggles with them are valid. They don't excuse your actions. You say you've tried to move past it. I'm sure you have, but instead of going to rehab, you're just trying harder. Evidence doesn't back up you've really stopped. Most importantly, you have a long history of poor decisions and recklessness in your past, many of which have caused harm to others, some of which certain people may call unforgivable. Now, if you ask people should be allowed to grow, I don't know. Personally, I'm more hardline than most, but I acknowledge redemption should be possible. To do that involves atoning properly to those who hurt. To do so, it involves repenting for your actions. To do so involves proving both yourself and the world around you, and I haven't seen evidence you've been doing any of that. As all I've seen is whine, complain, deny, and do everything except taking responsibility for your actions. And if you ask me, I don't think that's the person who should be running a multi-billion-dollar company. That's just me. Moment, Paul's expression cycled through a number of emotions. Finally, it settled on a complete defeated look. Slowly, his head began to dip. You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm scum. I really am scum. Even now, I thought I'd accepted it, and yet I couldn't own up to my own past against you. I'm sorry. I really just don't deserve pity. If you never want anything to do with me, again, I'll understand it. I don't deserve any of your compassion. Your help, your benefit of the doubt. Of course, I won't stop protecting Krish, but you can do what you want. You should. You can do a lot more good than helping an asshole like me. I don't want to walk away. I want to make sure the best person wins the race for Olimpo, and you haven't convinced me the person's you. And more to the point, I don't buy this whole woe is me act for a second. I don't want your submission. I want you to own up the truth. This does nothing for me. Okay, I get it. I suck. Garbage. How many times do you want me to say it? I suck. Go help Art. That's for the best. This has been thoroughly established. There's nothing for me. If I could die to make up my mistakes, I would, but that wouldn't fix anything. What would fix things if I could use Olimpo for good? That's what I'm gonna do. With you or without you. Wow, you really are shameless, huh? Yeah. Man, I'm totally unforgivable. It's funny, really. I try to be a Buddhist, end up an asshole. So close. Real fine line. All I can do is laugh, you know? Really, you're finally struggling to find an here. Look, I just don't know what you want from me. I confessed, didn't I? But I wanted the truth. I told you the truth. Not the whole truth. You basically know it. You know I sucked in the past. You know I'm trying to be better. You know I don't mean anyone harm. I mean, you know me. No, I don't. I really don't know you. Is that right? Well, in that case, maybe you should rethink your position right now. Polly's face darkened, his face hardened. Excuse me? Really don't know what the sort of person I am. I'd say it'd be pretty dangerous for you to come in and start harassing me like that. I mean, if you really don't know what I'm capable of. Wow, this is too absurd. I couldn't help but let out a small chuckle. You're serious? You're trying to threaten me right now? Oh, why'd you have to make everything so dramatic? I'm just laying things out honestly. Knowing what you know about me, you think I'd let it twerp like you get in the way. No, I'm pretty sure you're trying to threaten me right now. For the record, it's not really working. I mean, you think I'm scared of you. You're incompetent, an idiot. You've always been carried, first by Art, now by Kara. I just let them do the boring work. Never been fond of busy work. Look, I'm not saying I've ever been a great student. Not saying I'd be a good businessman. Don't get it wrong. At the end of the day, I'm quite smart. Did you know that back in the day, Odin used to say I always had the most potential, the most natural intellect? I can be scary. I just need to be motivated. Let's just say Vels, you're doing a pretty good job of motivating me right now. The stare lasted a couple more awkward seconds. In those seconds, my perception of Polly was slightly but significantly shifted. As quickly as Polly put out the serious expression, he dropped it, slumping back in his chair. Oh man, this is awkward. I totally killed the mood, didn't I? My bad, my bad. I get a little intense when I remember my past. That's on me, by the way. I should really reel it in. I don't want to create an uncomfortable atmosphere or anything, though. That's like really not my scene. You get that, right? Right. Yeah, thank you. You always were just giving off the wrong impression there. So yeah, big point is you're right. I need to change. I need to become a better man if you're absolutely right about that. Thank you, Vels, for calling me out. I need people to hold me accountable more often. Also, I really started to lose myself. You're welcome. Anyways, I think we're past that, right? Also, getting all tense like that, I wish you'd totally forget about that conversation. It's really embarrassing. You do that, right? Just totally forget about the last couple minutes. Yeah, sure, awesome. You're the best, Vels. Anyway, I think that's all we have to talk about. I'll keep housing Chris. You wouldn't want the duets finding him. That'd be real bad as for your part. I don't think you really need to do anything, honestly. You've done more than enough already. Thanks for that. I can handle the rest from here. Okay, then, cool. Oh, you can go now, by the way, or we could talk a bit longer. No, I think I'll be going now. Alright, then. Take care. Just like that, I decided the meeting with Polly was over. I walked out of his office still uneasy. Even though I knew functionally he couldn't do anything, I still felt like speed walking down the hall, past the rooms, through the security protocol, until finally I reached the elevator. As I entered it, I was still feeling uneasy, but then as I turned around, I saw Art at the end of the hall, and I saw him lock eyes with me. Immediately, again, pressing the elevator on the first floor. I also pressed the button to make the doors close, and I kept my head down. I hoped my hoodie would cover most of my face. Even from the awkward position, though, I could tell Art was making his way down the hall pretty quickly, likely trying to get a better look at me. Sorry for him, the hallway was a bit long. He was too late. Before he could get that close, the doors were closed and the elevator was going down. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Like that, I was on the first floor. I was just a bit more walking from there until finally I was out of the accursed building, back in the open airs of Panthea. Then I was walking around outside, decompressing. I felt dirty. That was an exaggeration, but it felt apt. Polly... You know, I kind of knew how the conversation was going to go ahead of time. I knew there wasn't an elegant way to put it. I had no idea it was going to go that poorly. I mean, it's not like I had faith in Polly. Somehow I was still disappointed. I guess I just thought on some level he couldn't be that bad. He probably had issues, but still he was... I don't know what I thought he was. I guess I just didn't want to think that both Dies, my brothers, were completely irredeemable. God, what was Odin doing as a father? One's a fluke, two's a pattern. Well, usually one's a fluke and two is a coincidence, and then three is a pattern. But I only had two to work with, so the saying had to be altered a bit. Why was I feeling so down? I guess I did actually have some faith. No, not faith. Hope. Hope that some segment of society wouldn't be completely fucked by power. Silly me. Anyways, I took out my phone from my pocket and pressed the stop button on the recorder app. That's Polly taken care of. I was worried about the sound quality, but it'd be fine. Polly didn't say explicit words, anything completely damning, but he pretty much implied in every way possible. This recording is a silver bullet. I could kill Polly in any way I wanted now. In the business world, in a personal relationship, in the public eye. That'd just leave Art in control, huh? Ah, damn it, what a fork. It was kind of genius in a way. If both options suck, it was hard to make a move against either. Maybe you just want to give up on doing anything altogether, but that wasn't the right option. Well, I was in no rush. I'd gotten what I came for. I was sure I'd be able to find some way to put it to good use before too long. In the meantime, there are about a dozen other problems I should be juggling about now. Polly's comeuppance would have to wait. Oof, not a good look, Polly, and by that I mean acting all threatening and scary and immediately letting someone walk out with a prime blackmail audio file. Pretty lame if you ask me. Honestly, why doesn't everyone have some recorder person on at all times? Seems awfully convenient. Oh, is there a law against that or something? There might be. Whatever, I'll just be smart about it. I guess it's also like, it'd eat up a lot of data or whatever, and if someone ever find out about it, he'd probably like be killed by 7 different acquaintances. Okay, maybe not my best idea. Still, clearly effective in certain circumstances, case in point. It was a fun scene to watch, you ask me. I quite like watching Polly cycle through possible approaches, having all of them fail. Problem is, unlike most people, Vels has played things too close to the chest. Polly's completely unable to correctly read the situation. His tried and true methods of manipulation are rendered ineffective in that context, and to be clear, I'm not claiming Polly some sort of geopathic master of persuasion. People can develop such habits subconsciously, simply mirroring whatever ends up being effective. I have noticed, yeah, that whenever I interact with people, I tend to act somewhat more like the person I'm speaking with fairly often. So I think that's, and like you said, it seems to be completely subconscious. I only really notice it when I'm actively trying to check, which isn't very often for a rather obvious reason. So maybe Polly is a secret mastermind of some type? Can't rule it out. You'd think if he were, he wouldn't be constantly in so much shit, but you know, maybe that's his 4D chess. Wonder how Val's gonna approach things, especially this whole upcoming shareholder meeting with him was mentioned. Or at least that's what I would say had you not already completed the Eris stack. Sheesh, you get a real kick out of doing things in a weird order, huh? So lame. We were gonna have a super cool bet about this, but now you already know how things pan out. Well, that's how the cookie crumbles, I suppose. Guess we'll just end the conversation. Yeah. Yeah, clearly I'm not... Yeah. I don't think I'm supposed to do these in exact order, like fully complete Laverna, then fully complete Locke, then fully complete Vels. I mean, the Locke's alone already prove that to an extent, but more importantly, the fact you have to, that information relevant to Vels, like who the police chief's loyalties truly lied with, is in Locke's story. And not only that, but remember, Laverna had basically 3 locks in a row, pretty much. Or is it just 2? I forget, but yeah, you get my point. But we're gonna complete Vel's story. The culling. Oh, damn it, damn it. What was I doing? I really didn't have an obligation to kill myself like this. Life is going well up to this point. Quite well, in fact. You could almost argue this is the exact worst time for something like this to pop up, which of course I couldn't help but feel was intentional. I internally cursed up a storm. I didn't want to do what I was about to do. It was stupid. It was unnecessary. It was irrational. I hadn't thought it out ahead of time. In all likelihood, I'd get myself killed for nothing. Whatever, to be honest, I didn't really have a choice. As much as I was grumbling, I wasn't so far gone I wouldn't do anything in this situation. Still, it was really inconvenient, especially considering when it popped up. I did my best to assemble a suitable disguise on short notice. A quick trip to the dirt cheap clothing store for a hoodie, jeans, and face mask. I'd have to do. Didn't have much more than that. Looked further up on the street, and there it was, the V-Hall. I could hear a commotion from inside the building, even this far away. Yep, it was crowded. It was intense, which meant it was insanely dangerous, although in these particular circumstances, all that probably worked to my advantage. If there's a lot of people and there's a lot of activity, it would be easier for an imposter like myself to be undetected. That would have to do. I walked up the front door. The guard clearly looked distracted. His attention was mostly on the events happening inside. However, it appeared that things had completely come chaotic as the Duats were content to leave the entrance unguarded. I almost wanted to slip by while he wasn't looking at me, but that probably was more of a risk than it was worth. Instead, I just coughed. The guard looked at me so distracted. Oh, right. A password? Speak the name of the dead is to make them live again. Cool. This guy didn't give a shit. He was busy trying to see the main event happening inside, which, fair enough. Even from the door, it was clear shit was going down. Serious shit. For one, the lights were mostly off. Not completely, like it wasn't dark in there, but it was dimmed. So this is when the fake Thane attempted to break Laura out of there before she was attacked. There was also the fact that the Duat members had made something of a circle around the side of the room. There were a few stragglers in the back, but for the most part, everyone in the room was encircling one scene I couldn't quite see from my perspective, though I could guess it. I began making my way closer. However, even from my position outside the circle, I could clearly hear the intense argument happening behind 2 voices. Watching silently were the Duats. Not like a collection, but the whole gang. Not literally, of course. There were almost certainly dozens of people not currently in attendance. Still, this is the biggest gathering of Duat members I'd yet witnessed. Concerning, but understandable considering the circumstances. Carefully as to not draw attention, I began pushing my way through the crowd. I need to get a better look at the scene. No, not just a better look, a closer position. Of course, if I drew too much ire, that I could also draw attention. The Duats were a broad group. Not everyone knew everyone, but even still, I'd rather not chance an encounter. The good thing was I was given quite a bit more leeway since everyone's attentions were focused on the scene happening in the middle of the room. How could they not be? After all, the conflict playing out was quite captivating. On one side stood Laura, flushed with anger. Clearly, she stood passionately against what was taking place. On the other side was Yi. He had a cold, cruel look on his face. To the untrained eye, it appeared as though he was far less emotional about everything going on. However, I knew better. There was a simmering rage in him, too. He was simply attempting to hold it in for the sake of appearances. And there was a figure in a chair in front of Yi. Tied up and looking surprisingly scared was Krish. Krish, you absolute damn moron. What the hell did you do? I was at a complete loss. Like, I had a pretty good beat on what was going on. Could make general inferences, and I could still do that with some parts of the situation, but Krish's presence? Just what the hell? You need to stay put whenever Polly squirreled you away. That was it. That was the only thing you need to do. Whatever, I could cry and complain and scream later. Right now I had one objective. Kick Krish out of this confrontation alive. A difficult proposal, but be sure, but yeah. I just have to try my best. Part of that involved getting ready to make a move, and so carefully I considered to scooch the crowd. The circle had given the main actors a bit of space, however only so much. The person currently closest to Krish other than Yi was only a handful of feet away. Possibly even less than that. A well-timed rush, the timing would need to be perfect. For now, I was getting in position. In the meantime, try to the argument happening. Might have some useful information. Lar, ask for the last time. What's the hold-up? On what grounds are you delaying this? It's not complicated. This little shit killed Marduk. An outsider snuck into our sanctum, murdered our boss. And Lara wishes to what? Think? Just let him walk away? Ooh, the kid's young, can't possibly right to neck punishment. Boo-hoo. That sort of weak shit is unacceptable. We're the Duats. We live by our strength. Our claim to Panthea is built upon violence. We don't pull our punches in any circumstance, and not when our head has been murdered. This criminal not just be killed, they must be executed. The speech elicited a fair amount of cheering. Okay, so this is after Thane just walked right out. However, less cheering than a speech would typically get, possibly because it was given by Yi against Lara. While almost all the Duats probably agreed the sentiment behind Yi's words, they struggled directly to endorse him without their cheers. And so Yi did not receive the deafening endorsement that may have emboldened him to settle the matter there and then. You shut... Yay. One sentence caused a bout of whooping and hollering. Obviously, I'm not saying we should let Marduk go unpunished, but you have to be insane to insist otherwise. It was Marduk who built the Duats up, who brought us here we are today. We're all at home his deepest respect, and the coward who snuck in and murder him, which should be given the harshest punishment possible. I don't dispute that whatsoever. My only concern, if you would actually listen to a damn word I said, is that we don't actually know if this is the person who killed Marduk. I don't want to convict the wrong suspect. Excuse me? There's no proof. It looks bad, I admit. I'm just asking we proceed with a bit of caution. Caution, huh? No proof? Ha, is everyone hearing this? We catch Chris inside Monarch's office with the dead body, and Laura's saying there's any proof. What the hell's that about? The kid entered through the window, which means obviously someone could have gone through the window and gone out. At the very least, we should listen to some testimony, don't you think? Have the kid explain what happened? What he says happened. I'm aware people can lie, ye. I'm just saying the slightest bit of due diligence might be called for when prosecuting the murder of our boss. I know you're not the biggest fan of being responsible, but that's why you don't get to call the shots. What difference would it make? Excuse me. Murder or not, let's be clear here. Murderer, Krish is dead meat. I already had out a hit on him. Plus, Krish has intruded on our base. He's seen our faces. There's not much choice to be made. The execution is happening. You can waste time on some pointless pleasantries if you want. As for me, I'd like to get some justice, but maybe you don't understand such concepts. I understand justice more than you, jackass. Interrogating Krish is not some pointless task. The execution's inevitable. Fine. We'll kill the kid regardless. I'm not trying to dispute that right now. However, if Krish didn't kill Marduk, we still need to figure that out in order to make sure the true killer can be brought to justice. Some testimony would help on that front, and I find it highly suspicious you'd seek to impede that process, unlike you. Excuse me, suspicious? What does that mean? Oh, I don't know, ye. What does it mean? Say, wasn't it you and your gang that found the body? Yeah, we did. I saw that jackass peek out the door and close it, so I did a bunch of other duo members. Was the only person to do something about it. Had Fang come with me. We went over to Marduk's office, came across the scene where Chris was trying to escape back out the window. Got a problem with the story? I'm just saying, you were in there for a minute. Fang works for you, and you're not letting Chris speak. The possibility's open. Oh, you bitch. How stupid are you? You think Chris was just running around that office with a living Marduk? That I silently murdered the boss immediately after entering the room in front of a random witness? How stupid do you think I am? Well, the shoe fits. He began chuckling himself. There was no mirth in that laughter, though. That was laughter that took place of a scream. A few moments later, he composed himself. Oh boy, you sure have a talent at ticking me off, Laura. I mean, making accusations like that, cheeky. Quite cheeky at that. I'm surprised, honestly. I didn't think you'd stoop to those sort of tactics. Tactics? What tactics? Playing dumb, huh? A favorable hobby of yours, seems. The bogus allegation tactic. You know full well it had nothing to do with killing Marduk. The very idea doesn't make a lick of sense. You're just throwing out weird shit to make me look more sinister. Alright, give me one good reason why you wouldn't kill Marduk. One? I could give a dozen. Cool, give one. Or for one, the Dua headship was in the air. Who would succeed him is up for debate. He hadn't clearly labeled a single person. I know we're not on the best of terms, as this big argument has made abundantly clear, but I would not kill the head of when such a major question was unanswered. That's prime Civil War material, and believe it or not, I'd rather not tear apart the Duats. There was a silence that followed this. Large took at this, then a smile crossed her face. So you admit it, huh? The fuck? I just denied murdering Marduk, dumbass. Not killing Marduk. You admit that Marduk favored me before his death. What? I mean, that's what your defense boils down to, right? You knew that Marduk, the general public sentiment, favored me before his death. Therefore, you wouldn't have killed him before you had a chance to prove yourself and take back the Duat headship. I mean, that's what your argument amounts to, right? Really? That's how you want this to be? What do you want it to be? You know damn well what I mean. You're going to make this whole thing about that? This public argument's going to be about the Duat headship. Come on, ye, don't kid yourself. This is what it was going to be about. Hell, this is what it was about from the beginning. To think or say otherwise, well, that's just illusion, isn't it? Cold air passed the crowd. The tension only heightened. The feeling that a fight could break out at any moment stronger than ever. And continued inching closer. Oh, not at all. We could have settled that matter more tactfully when all parties were here, but fine, I'll make it clear. With Marduk dead, we need a new leader. The senior officer who's been with the Duats the longest, I believe I should succeed Marduk. Ha! Of course you would think that. Of course I would, it makes sense. Just think about it for a second. I have served by Marduk's side the longest. I understand him the best. Seriously, you're saying that when Thane exists. Lara, Thane wouldn't be Thane if he understood Marduk. I also have most accomplishments of all senior officers. I understand the infrastructure the best. I make the group the most money. By all accounts, I have the greatest claim to lead the Duats. Greatest claim my ass. Looky, I'm not so blind as to say you don't play an important part keeping the Duats healthy. I'm not trying to kick you out of the gang. I should hope not. Here's the plain simple truth. Public sentiment's on my side. Who gives a shit? Duats, namely. Let's probably a little bit of cheering as well as a bit of brewing. Oh, shut it. And like that, the group was about to yield. You're qualified, sure, but this isn't a matter of merit. There's a simple way to choose the next leader. We put it to a vote. Oh, fuck that. Wow, openly denying democracy. Ballsy, I'll say that for you. Since when have the Duats been a democracy? Marduk hasn't voted into office. I didn't win an election to become senior officer. That shit goes against the Duat spirit, and the fact you're trying to interject means you don't understand what this organization stands for. Maybe it doesn't stand for what it used to. You ever think of that? I'm sure you think that much. Besides, an open election isn't a fair way to decide things. If it was, I'd just recruit a bunch of low-ranked losers to vote for me. Now that would be unfair. It's not much better than what you've done. What? If there were to be any sort of election, I'd say it would be a decision made by the people who've proven their worth, people who are critical to keeping the Duats alive. Senior officers can vote for a leader amongst ourselves. Oh, fuck that. Have a problem? Hell yeah, I have a problem. Thane works under you? How on earth do you imagine that a three-person election would even resemble fairness? It's made out of people that Marduk trusted. But fine, we can include captains as well. It's not Laura's faltering. Oh, have a problem with that idea as well? Why's that? It's possible because you know you'd lose that vote too. Face it, you might be popular among the grunts, but between everyone worth a shit, you're a joke. Nobody qualified would trust you. Yeah, how forgetful are you? I'm not. Then I guess you're extremely disrespectful. And how do you figure that? Marduk himself, our leader, appointed me as senior officer. In fact, by your own admission, he clearly favored me. I don't say I could justify the statement, nobody qualified would trust me. The person who was most qualified trusted me. He thought I would succeed when he died. You can't possibly know that. I guess not. Yeah, that's just one moment in the time. I bet his mind will change by the next day. Uh-huh. Do you have absolutely any basis for saying something like that? You took a step back, waffling. You don't, do you? Actually, according to my sources, your little money play didn't amount to shit. But I heard from some grunts that your control made a mess of things. The cops were called over to a shop where we're storing our dirty money. One of them found the stash. The money was transported in an armored truck. That's a shit ton of profit lost by our people under your control. The fuck? The whole crowd now starts to worriedly mutter. That was their money on the line. Their money had potentially been stolen. Each claimant certainly grabbed some attention. Yeah, it's a pretty bad situation. Luckily, you all have me. Luckily, I have a contact with the police. I'm sure we can come up with a strategy to raid and retrieve the money if we get our shit together in the relative future. It requires, getting our shit together. It smells like bullshit. Oh? Yeah, no, you're full of shit, ye. You're behind the money going missing. Wow, no you. An effective comeback. No, but for real, this doesn't make any sense. Sources. What sources? When did you get any news? I haven't seen any come up to you recently. You haven't taken a phone call while we've been arguing. Gosh, Laura, it's almost like my life didn't start the moment we caught Krish murdering our boss. You think of that? If you got this information earlier, you would have said something. This is a big deal, but if this was a big deal, you would have been rounding the troops, and yet you didn't say it. What can I say? It was poor timing. Things happened right after another. I don't buy that excuse, and I don't buy that you'd come up with a bold-faced lie right here. You must have known that our money would be intercepted by the police ahead of time, which means you must have arranged for it to happen. Wow, what a novel you're writing. Anything to shirk the blame, huh? Tell me why I'm wrong. Oh, I don't know. How about the fact that most of the money is mine? Ever think of that? I'm a Duat member. Why would I sabotage Duats? Hasn't stopped you in the past? I don't even know what you're on about now. No, because I think you're pretty relevant to hear right now. Fine, bring it. What insane lie do you have now? It's no lie, it's a disgusting truth. You've been systematically killing Duat members. A flash of annoyance. His eyes, annoyed that belie the fact Laura was right. The crowd was already pretty wild before, but this accusation sent things to overdrive. That worked out for me. The more hectic things were, the easier I could move towards Krish. At this point, I was right by them. I wanted to find a way to signal out to them, but anything I did, they noticed someone else would notice. No one should wait for the right moment. Killing Duat members, seriously? Yep. Not just any Duat members. One's aligned with me. Aligned with you. What the hell's that mean? Look, it's no secret I've been trying to make inroads with the Duats. I've been trying to get people on my side, but almost each and every one of them has gone missing, which is why not too long ago I followed Thane. I went to the Manjet and killed... He went to the Manjet and killed more Duat followers, but let's be real, conducting something like that isn't his style. He's been under your thumb for a long time. You were at the very least just as much a part of this as he was. This proves you're more than willing to undermine the Duats if it would help you rise the ranks. It proves you're a piece of shit that'll backstab even your own allies. This proves you don't deserve to succeed shit. Yi stayed silent for a moment, spurring on a ton of jeering from the group. You done? Can I point out how ridiculous this all is? Make excuses, you mean? Laura, you witnessed this a while ago? How long ago exactly did you sit on the fact Thane was killing Duat members? That's... All of a sudden, it was Laura who was the last for words. Look, I didn't have any hard proof, and so he decided to tell nobody. Look, I don't know if this is true. Maybe Thane has been doing what you claim independently, but if that's the case, you're admitting you sat on some pretty huge information because you were scared. What, because you get blowback? How the hell did that work in your mind? Even without evidence, you bring it up if you catch Duat members murdering each other. No, your whole story's probably bullshit. The only thing you proved is that apparently you're making secret alliances with Duat members, which seem pretty seditious if you ask me. Not all behavior I'd want from a Duat leader. What's this? How are you deflecting from the fact you've been caught murdering your members of your own gang? It's easy to deflect from obvious lies, and what part of this is the obvious lie? There's so many problems with the stupid story. Here's a nice simple one. If I were killing Duat members, I sure as shit would have killed you. Not that things weren't extremely intense before now, but an explicit threat from another senior officer only elevated the tension. How was I going to get Krish out of here safely? Ha, that answer's simple. You're too much of a chicken shit. Is that right? It is. You're fine killing people below me, but you know that actually killing me would be a problem. That would require showing some guts. Guts you only wish you had. Man, this is pathetic. You're not even trying to make arguments anymore. Provocation, and the pretty provocation at that. You want me to kill you right here and now? I'm not falling for it. Oh no, whatever will I do knowing you won't kill me? Because that clearly was my master plan you so cleverly deduced. Ah, you're annoying. You should have died back when Arch would have paid for it. Once this is over, I'm gonna kill the guy who helped free you. How? With a gun, obviously. No, I mean, meant the guy who helped free me. So did I. Hey, why did you think I was talking? Well, no, I mean the guy who helped free me. So did I. Why did you think I was talking about? It wasn't forget about it. Oh, because his name is How. She's trying to leave the Duats and get confused in a simple conversation. I didn't get confused. You did. Yeah, sure. You talked about killing my savior, and I clarify which guy you're trying to kill. No, you asked How. She asked you. Quiet, Zochi. Zochi, if you know How, explain it to your boss. He's clearly not listening to me. Okay, first up, he doesn't know. He's chronically stupid. How? He's chronically stupid. Second, I'm listening and you're not talking straight. Holy shit, yeah. How is the guy's name? How should I know if I don't know it? You're joking. How are you this dumb? Why asking him? The dude's not even here. Zochi, shut up. Must be embarrassing having your dumbest sidekick still be smarter than you. You know what? Fuck this. You bent down, stood back up, and bang. Before anyone knew what was happening, one slick motion aimed his pistol at Laura's head and shot her. What? The room collectively went silent. The only move was Laura's body hitting the floor. Just like that, Laura was killed. She died so unceremoniously. In a random instant violence, she was gone. That was unsatisfying. No, it was saddening. It was infuriating. It wasn't the thing to focus on. Compartmentalized, was looking for an opening, and Yi slowly began to walk towards Laura's body. One particularly zealous Duat member worked for it, showing walk forward, shouting up a storm. The moment that happened, Yi reared the pistol right at him and he went silent. Yi, you bastard, he was taking advantage of an important rule. Only senior officers are allowed to bring weapons to the V-Hall, which meant the reason he was walking over Lara. Sure enough, he gave the corpse a brief pat down. Stupid bitch didn't even have a gun on her. Yi surveyed the group, which is now filled with both frightened and furious. So, we could have continued that pointless argument, but I think this is far more elegant. In case any of you weren't clear on this point, it's now clear who's in charge. That means it took Yi this long to turn his back and realize what was happening. As he was facing the other side of the crowd at opportunity, in furious instant, I stepped towards my spot and cut the ropes, tying Krish to the chair with my knife. Just as soon as I was done, I grabbed their arm and began sprinting crowd towards Marduk's office. Oh, interesting. Note that Vels knew the Duat's rule that the senior officers are allowed to bring weapons. Yeah, fuck, stop. I imagine that Yi held up his pistol at me and Krish, but at this point there were too many people in the way. I also imagine the crowd would have been a lot more cooperative had Yi not just shot another senior officer. As it was, they were just sort of standing around. Still, there were far too many people to get out the front entrance. However, the path to Marduk's office was mostly uninterrupted. So, would you hold on to this? He tosses in his pistol. Keep the riffraff in line, and nobody leaves till I'm back. Fangzia with me. Just like that, 3 Duat members were on our tail, which very unideal, but I have to thank my lucky stars he had alienated the rest of the gang with his random act of violence. Because of that, he didn't know who was truly still loyal and had the resort to relying on his inner circle while keeping the rest of the group contained. In truth, I thought the conflict between Lara and Yi might reach that point, knowing both their personalities. I could only hope it would go smoothly, though. Kept sprinting towards Marduk's office and Krish kept pace. To their credit, he caught on incredibly quickly. They even seemed to know who I was, despite clearly not getting a good look at me. I guess they were already anticipating I would come to save them. That moron. Soon enough, made our way to Marduk's office. We entered and just as soon slammed the door back shut. Why'd we go in here, not the exit? Too many people in that direction. We wouldn't have made it. Now start climbing the window. It was a lot easier to enter Marduk's office through the window than it was through the exit. Enter the Marduk's office through the window, then to exit through it. However, it was still entirely possible. While Krish dealt with that, I pushed the nearby couch to block the door, buying us some time. However, as soon as the couch touched, the door was knocked back as the door slammed open. With it, so was I. Facing me down was the Goliath Fang. Right behind him was Zia, already his iron knuckles equipped. 2 walked further in the room. Behind him was Yi, as twisted scowl plastered across his face. After he entered the room, he kicked the door closed behind him. Then he reached back to his waist and pulled out a mini katana knife thing. Looked over to Krish. They hadn't made the window yet. As they're seeing my predicament, they let go and drop back down. Damn it. Well, 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 if it isn't the hooded asshole. Why am I not surprised? Really, it's my fault for not counting on this. I had to, Krish. You're good at drawing sympathy. That's about all you're good for, but something. Yee. You live a sad life, you know? Looking at Krish, I sort of expected to see some of sadness fill their eyes last time he stared down Yi, but there wasn't any of that remaining. Instead, Krish looked kind of hollow, and more than that, disappointed. As though they accepted who Yi truly was, even if they didn't like it. Ah, Krish, to you it might look that way. However, many philosophers have posited the only thing that matters about your life is how you view it. If a person sees value in their own life, it has value. End of story. I don't care. Hey, if you want to cut the shit, that's fine with me. I'm just trying to give you thought you can cling to while you bleed to death. Yi's nasty gaze turned to me. And you. I guess if we remove those sleeves, there'd be some lightning tattoos? I gave no response. He apparently took this confirmation. Want me to do the honors of an introduction this time? I've spent enough time feeding you bullshit. Let's just get to it. Look of confusion crossed over Yi's face at the last comment. Then he just shrugged his shoulders. Suit yourself. Just like that, Yi and his men began to advance. Damn it. I had talked to Big Gain, I struck at the right time, but in the end I found myself in a shit situation. There were 3 of them. I hadn't gotten a good look at Krish, but I noticed that they had some injuries. They were wincing through the sprint. I doubt they were in any real fighting shape. Fang and Zia. I'd fought the 2 before and held them off, but that was a losing fight. True, last time I had also had to contest with Zoich and Jia, but this time Yi was getting involved far earlier. I didn't have the element of surprise either, and the 3 surrounded me. I quickly flashed the scenarios in my mind. No shit, anyway, I thought about Krishna. I was good as dead if we tried to face them head on. To be honest, I doubt I'd be able to take Fang in a one-on-one setting. With Yi and Zia support, it's impossible. If only there was a way to get an advantage. Take even one of them out of the picture to scan my memories. Then I realized something. Zia. Yi killed your sister. What? She was going to ally with Lara, so he killed her. Zia looked back at Yi with a mix of confusion and betrayal. Yi just looked back for a moment. Oh, damn it. And then without a second hesitation, he lifted up the knife and stabbed it down of Zia's left shoulder, and the blade plunged all the way to the handle. Just as soon as Yi stabbed... And so Zia pulled it out, immediately dropped to his knees, crying in pain. He just wiped the blood off the blade with his gloved hands. I don't know who you are, but you're a real pain in the ass, you know that? Fang, kill them both. Just like that, with Zia rapidly bringing to death, the fight was on. Get out of the way, Krish. I don't expect some resistance in this request, however, the man just died before our very eyes. Krish seemed more eager to listen up. They retreated towards the corner. Good. Now, how's it gonna handle Fang? Yeah, we're gonna go with the story here. Whatever, I just had to do it. I ran up to him needing to do something. Before I could do anything, Fang made the first move. At the last moment, I was able to duck under Fang's arm as it swiped right at me. Brief moment of opportunity presented itself. I began to wail on the side of his chest, multiple strikes hitting exposed flesh. Perhaps unexpectedly, this didn't do much of effect. Instead of paying my attacks mine, I simply began to wind up a counter. I needed to stay on the offensive if I had any chance of victory. With that in mind, I aimed to punch right at Fang's knuckles as he swung down with first. Yeah, I figured the fact that Zia's sister was killed by Yi would be relevant. And of course, if you had any consideration that Fang had any sort of empathy for anyone but himself, well, he just took out one of his closest, his follower, purely to make sure they wouldn't be a liability in the fight. Ah, hurt, but it had to be done. I couldn't linger. Immediately, I jumped up and took the opportunity to plant my other fist right in Fang's face. This one also connected with his satisfying thud. Ha, got him. I rushed forward, hoping to strike more in his chest. However, I overestimated how much time I bought with that attack. Responding with brutal swiftness, he kicked me around the chest. Ah. One blow sent me stumbling back in the desk with the other side of the room. How do I, before I could form a single comprehensible thought, I noticed Fang charging. Shit. Flash of panic, I jumped off the desk I leaned against. That was a bad idea. Too late now, as I was in midair attempting to clear Fang by going over him. In a miraculous moment, it actually worked. Hell yeah. I had approximately one moment of victory before I noticed Yi brandishing his knife. I just had vaulted right into range. He let out a long, wide slice, cutting the air aimed right at my stomach. At the last moment, I jumped out of the way, successfully avoiding the blade, but that was just one slash. Yi's assault was final from over. As he lunged toward me, his knife came coming down at me. I spotted opportunity. I just had to beat him to the punch, literally. I rushed forward and slammed Yi right in the face with my clenched fist. He was completely taken off guard and stumbled backwards. I tried to rush forward to press my advantage, but he began blindly swinging the knife to keep me away. It was unfortunately effective. After a couple seconds, he recovered. He was not pleased. He rushed forward, hoping to stab me right in the chest. Shit. I had to avoid it, but dodging left and right would leave me vulnerable. On instinct, I jumped backwards out of the knife's way, and it was this moment I felt my arms start to be picked up. Shit, behind me, Fang was holding both my arms out pinned. Tried struggling, there was no use. He was too strong. Fuck, I lost. In front of me, a slightly bruised Yi came, wiped up the blood out of his face, and brandished a knife with a dangerous look in his eye. He slowly walked up to me. This wasn't good. He was gonna gut me then. I had to. You know, some of my more bullheaded compatriots in the organization would say something like, I respect the fight you put up. You're a worthy challenger, I like that. What a load of shit. I tried to kill you and you hit me a lot. That pisses me off. So I'm going to enjoy At this point, Yi was cut off by the back of his head, received by the swing of fist. Realizing I was in imminent peril, Chris decided to rush in and help. Honestly, I was in no position to complain. He turned around with a furious expression. However, right as he was facing Chris, they gave him a mean uppercut. He stumbled back, and Krish continued to pummel Yi. After a few punches, however, Yi successfully blocked Krish's other blows. With a momentum back on his side, he countered with a kick to Krish's gut. Krish fell to one knee, with his blade to cut down. However, Krish saw an opportunity there and took it. He jumped up and kicked out of the hand which Yi held the blade. Watching Fang's grasp, I could have screamed at Krish to ask what the hell they're doing. It was a supremely risky attack, but every now and then, dumb determination went out of the day. A blow hit Yi right in the wrist, causing him to let go of the knife that was precisely the wrong moment. The blade soared back in the air, quickly estimated the arc, and swung forwards from Fang's arms. I was able to catch the discarded blade with my feet. Instantly, I swung back. My legs stabbed Fang in his leg with a knife. He cried out in pain, releasing me from his grip. I rolled forwards out of the fall, grabbing the blade out of Fang's leg all the while. Immediately, I lunged out and slashed at Yi. He blocked my strike with his arm, causing a major gash. Yes! Sensing blood in the water, I went straight for a stab. However, he wasn't out yet. He sidestepped and slammed down the blade, causing it to fall to the floor. I thought fast, I put my foot on the knife on the other side of the room. Krish, who'd been standing on the other side of Yi, immediately ran over and picked the knife. He also rushed over in that direction. On the other hand, I just turned around. I had a score to an advantage to push. Fang was still bent down, tangling those stab wound on his leg. That was low enough I could jump up and strike down on him with a punch. Connected with a sickening thud, Fang stumbled backwards. Immediately, I jumped again and punched his head with my other fist. Another successful strike, which immediately transitioned to an uppercut. Punched him twice inside the stomach before a kick to the center. Recoiling from the punch to the gut, Fang's head was low enough that I could grab his hair and slam his head into the side of the wall. Then I poked him right in both eyes, and as he lifted up his head, crying in pain, I took it back and slammed my fist straight into his stomach with all my energy. Blow after blow after blow. I was running on pure adrenaline, not taking a moment to slow down. Every hit was intense, more importantly, each blow was different. I was not affording Fang a moment to recover, or even get used to the type of attack I was hitting him with. He was a monster, but he couldn't resist if I didn't let off on him for a moment. When I was running out of room for to back up to, I decided to go in for the kill. Reeled back and slammed my foot right to his junk. He couldn't even cry out pain at this, he just silently toppled over, but no, I was not done yet. I rushed over him with one hand, grabbed the hair on his head and held him up, then with my other hand, just slammed his head directly to the floor. The blow made a satisfied thunk, then I felt like I could relax. No, not relax, I was done with Fang. Goliath down, but not done. Turned around and walked over the other scum. On the other side of the room, it seemed as though Krish had successfully grabbed the knife. Using it, they were staring down at Yi, but was slightly deterred by the blade. I walked over behind Yi and grabbed the back of his neck. The hell? Pulled him over and threw him against the wall with the side of the room. He looked confused and tried to get back on his feet, but before he could manage that, I grabbed the front of his head and slammed to the wall. All the energy I could muster. This sent him collapsing straight to the floor face first. A few moments later, they slowly got up his knees, but it was clear he was done. The fight was over. I'd won, but I wasn't done with him. Who are you working for? What? I socked Yi straight in the eye. He shouted out more indignation than pain and reached for his eye. Who are you working for? The Duats, you jackass. Obviously, I reached forward and punched him in the chest several times, coming a little shot. He slumped up over slightly and began to wheeze. He was in pain. Good. What about the clever answers? Who are you really working for? What the fuck are you talking about? I grabbed one of Yi's hands and held his arm out. Then I stomped as hard as I could, bending it way an arm shouldn't bend. Ooh. There was a satisfying breaking noise and he cried out. Wait for a moment for Yi to recover. Then, who do you answer for? I guess I don't answer to anyone. I don't really care about the Duats. I'm just out for myself. I reached forward and grabbed the front of Yi's face, though not before I could something horror in his eyes. Then I slammed his head against the wall behind him. Then I slammed it again, and then again. Again, I just slammed it against the brick surface. Finally, as a reflex of blood, I let go and took a few steps back. Yi began coughing up a storm. To be honest, I was slightly taking a shot in the dark here. I'd more or less reached two rough theories as to what was really happening in Panthea. Recently, I changed my mind which of these theories felt more likely. And the new Forerunner involved Yi as an active participant. Last chance. Who do you answer to? Those words were the trigger. Before I knew it, my hands were around Yi's neck and they squeezed in. I was choking Yi. Harder, harder. He grasped my breath, but he couldn't let the air out of his lungs. I was right up close, and for whatever reason, a memory came to me. A memory of my father killed by gang members, piece of shit like this one. A memory of my mother killed by gang member, piece of shit like this one. Yi, this fucker, this amoral dipshit. Maybe there were more relative moralities to people in this organization, but Yi had no excuse. He made plenty of excuses, sure. I was certain he had all sorts of clever things to say, but there was no true excuse. His like a selfish, shit-eating scumbag who would stab a friend or foe to get ahead and showed no signs of stopping. The world would be better without him. There was nobody who would miss him. He deserves to suffer. Fingernails began because his face was red, starting to get blue. I could see his eyes turning bloodshot. More. Bells! All of a sudden, I heard a voice coming by me. Stop this! He deserves it. Maybe, but still, you don't. What? You don't have to do this. You shouldn't murder someone even like this. If you do, how are you any better than him? He's defeated. He's no longer a threat. What you're doing now isn't helping anyone. It's cruel and hurting yourself in the long run. So stop it. Let him win. Would your dad want this? What? Would he want you to lose yourself to revenge again? I looked back to Yi. It wasn't like killing would be crossing the line for me anymore. Still, I didn't like the idea of being a murderer. It was probably good to keep killing as a last resort, and definitely it'd be bad to murder Yi in front of Krish's eyes like this. Yi deserved punishment, a lot of it. He's one of the most contemptible players in Panthea, and that was saying a lot. Still, he was thoroughly beaten. He had alienated most of the Duat members back there. He was out of options, and so I let go. Yi began coughing violently the moment I took a few steps away. Well, that just meant he was alive. Given that, I think it's probably safe to chalk up Yi as an independently motivated factor in all this. He definitely would have given up if he was hiding something just there. So then, I felt like getting a headache. Was I being naive earlier? More important things to deal with. For example, I turned over to Krish. Krish, what are you doing there? It took a moment for Krish to process the whiplash topics. Oh, you mean like this was a groom? Or, I mean, how'd you get caught for murdering Murdoch, you idiot? Right, about that, I thought you were in trouble. Excuse me? Yeah, no, I was at my hotel room. I got a message. A phone in the room rang. I picked it out and it was a weird automated voice. They were friends with you, but also a Duat member. They said you had gotten yourself in a lot of trouble and the Duats caught up to you. How'd this voice know the phone number? I don't know, it confused me too, but I guess I had bigger things to worry about at the time. Asked what you could do to help, and they said they were occupied, but somebody else to sneak in the room you were being held in, stage all rescue attempt. They gave me a specific location, instructions on how to get to the room you're supposed to be in. There's dangers, of course, but I couldn't do nothing. So I followed what they said and made my way here. Now in this very office, like they said, that window, except when I entered, I didn't see you. I saw that dead body. Krish pointed the dead body of Marduk, leader of the Duats, who in fact had just been lying on the couch in the same room this whole time. Obviously, this was very confusing and scary. I thought maybe you broke free yourself. I want to see what's happening, so I went over the office door and peeked out. What? Look, we both regret a lot of my decisions, okay? Don't rub it in. I guess someone saw me open the door briefly. When I realized there were still tons of Duats around, tried to flee through the window. Well, they caught me before I could get out. I could do nothing but sigh. Krish, I guess it was nice they tried to save me, but honestly I was too disappointed in how they handled the whole affair to really appreciate it that much. It seems like this anonymous voice has been doing a lot of work recently. This was war, after all. Part of me wondered how they had access to where Krish was staying. Get all the information they seemed to have access to. That honestly didn't seem plausible. The point was, I was still being hunted down, and my enemy wasn't above putting who I was close to in jeopardy to figure me out. The list wasn't very long, but damn it, they found a way. I looked around once more. Yi was still far from recovering. The door of the main entrance was closed. It was probably time to get going. I walked over the window. Then I turned over to Krish. Look, Krish, just keep this window after me. Then just go straight back to the hotel room we were at before and stay there. Lock the door. Don't let anyone inside, not even Polly. Make sure to take Yi's knife with you just in case. You need to hold out a bit longer. He's the one punish you to get captured. Something tells me he's going to be out of commission after this. So we should play it safe, hide for a bit longer. Got it? Slightly dazed by all, Krish nodded. Good. Then I began climbing out of the office windowsill, and as I did, Krish looked at me closer. They hadn't had till now, but they had a moment to look at me. Up the window, I turned back to them. Bells, who are you? Krish was smarter than they let on, and my recent past had become incredibly calculated. The one thing, really, that I hadn't planned on was befriending Krish. They were a good person. They're still too naive, but they would grow out of that. They had charisma, ambition, and genuinely nice personality, and that combination tended to take you far. It was nice getting to know them. Though this was to admit it, they made my time in Panthea far more enjoyable, but from the start, our relationship was ill-fated. I couldn't be tying myself down with connections, and Krish deserved better than anyone else to be dragged to situations they weren't meant for, so I took a breath and said goodbye. Live well, Krish. Oh, in the future, don't enter the headquarters of a violent gang because an augmented voice told you to. The final remark, I turned and hopped out the other side of Marduk's office. I began making my way to the V Hall. I didn't have time to look back. There was still so much to do ahead of me. Now what, that? I can get behind that. This is the shit I love. Almost didn't want to dwell too long. Let the adrenaline speak for itself. But I suppose I should say some parting words. Not for Lara. Girl had it coming. I liked her, but she went about everything wrong. Can't really sympathize. No, I want to say goodbye to Yi. I mean, Vels didn't kill him, which is something, but let's be real. I'd be surprised if we ever see him again. Feels like this might be our last encounter. It's interesting, though, that Vels didn't kill Yi. Difference to Yi, I'll leave off with a quote. If ever we witness or hear some terribly violent act, we'll be quick to think ourselves different from the savage that committed the act. However, what makes such violent acts possible is precisely that lack of empathy. Something to chew on. Who knows if it's relevant? And with that, we have completed Vel's story. That means we only have one left. Alright. This is probably going to be taking up, since I seem to do about 3 or 4 each night, it's going to be a bit before I can complete this, but we'll get as far as we can. And I think I'd guess about 2 more streams worth. And it should be, and we'll finally, I imagine once I complete this one, I'll get the Jade Key, the hero. I liked good music, it was just nice. Not much more to it than that, I just like listening to good music. I'm in a good mood. My mind didn't wander as much when listening to music. Recently, I'd gotten to one singer, Tale. I really dug her style. Her songs were really a lot of moving lyrics. I really connected with them. Felt like she was talking right to me. She was really talented. Man, imagine being born able to make music like that. What would life be like? I envied it. I truly did. I wonder if I could get a ticket to one of Tale's concerts. I had plenty of money, but no real way to spend it. So far, I've just been saving most of it. After all the jobs I did, I had enough money that smart people would know, more money than what smart people know what to do with. But I was never cut out for that. I didn't know how to spend to make a profit, and I didn't know how to spend to have fun. Concerts seemed fun, I guess. The only question would be if Tale would be touring Panthea anytime soon. I didn't want to leave in case I was needed on short notice. I wonder if I could get Tale to hold a concert here. Would that even be possible? I didn't like the leg and thinking I was going down. It's a bit too self-motivated. At any rate, it was more than late enough. I pressed pause on the music and took out my headphones. Let's see. From my vantage point, I didn't see any threats. Still, I couldn't be too sure. I began sweeping the area around the building. Were there any witnesses? Were there any spies? The answer to that last question was probably no. The answer to the first question was probably yes. Unfortunately, the governor's office was the heart of Panthea. It's almost inevitable there'd be plenty of passersby walking around. It was extremely late, which tempered it somewhat. Panthea was a city where far more people were awake at hours like this. There was nothing to be done. The only way to reliably enter the building without any witnesses would be if there was some sort of secret underground entrance or something, and that just seems silly. Well, what could you do? I had a nondescript gray hoodie, baseball cap, face mask. At this time of night, it'd be extremely hard to identify me. More likely than not, nobody even noticed me make my way over here. All this thought was an exercise in paranoia, but I like to exercise my paranoia as much as possible. Anyways, the paranoia's been checked. Time to start walking towards that building. The governor's building had, to put it lightly, a lot of security. More security than most would expect. A team of 3 guards patrolled the building at all times. There were countless cameras, both inside the building and out. Some overt, some hidden. The building didn't have many entrances. There were even a limited number of windows, each being too small to reasonably enter. There were only 2 ways in the building. There was the back exit, which had a full shutter drop behind it during off hours, and there was the front entrance, a wide set of glass doors. Bulletproof glass, to be precise, not that the average person would be able to tell. After hours, it had a complex locking mechanism to keep it in place. The only way to enter it, as far as I knew, was to be buzzed in by the person working the graveyard shift at the desk. Although if I had to guess, there had to be some other secret way in. Not that I needed to know. I kept walking over the front entrance, then I stood in front of the glass doors. I waved at the desk even though I knew the camera was being checked at the moment. Moments later, I heard the telltale sound of doors unlocking. There we go. I grabbed the door handle and made my way inside. Sitting behind the desk was Secretary Ghani. He was in the process of taking off headphones and looked none too pleased. Usually he was above taking graveyard shifts like this. Typically the after-hours desk was manned by one of the 2 lower-level employees. However, Governor Ija arranged for Secretary Ghani to be in the desk duty tonight for our meeting. Which means in a roundabout way, I was responsible for Ghani being stuck here tonight. Whoops, I decided to walk up towards him and make small talk. Oh hey Devin, you're here a bit late, which is to say right on time. Oh well, I guess time got away from me. I guess I was too busy listening to some music. Oh yeah, what's your fix these days? Listening to Tale's new album. Dude, Tale, that shit sucks, man. Totally overrated trash. Like garbage over Blade Pop. I guess so. Well, different strokes, different folks, I guess. Right. Well, I just in her office as usual. She's ready when you are. You know your way over there, down the hallway and to the left. Of course, I'll go see her now. Tell her I said hi. Sure. I nodded and shuffled away from the desk. To the left of the desk was a long, plain hallway. There were plenty of various paintings depicting Panthea's long and storied history. They were all nicely done. I walked over to the closest one and put my hand on the bottom of the frame. There were no touching signs, of course, but I wasn't supposed to obey them. There we go. I pressed a small button underneath the frame of the closet painting. Great. The sensors were now deactivated. After hours, the hallway was always in sentry mode. When it was in sentry mode, there were sensors in the middle of the hallway that detect anyone walking by. If they catch anyone, the chain link fences with heavy metal drop from the ceiling. If you look closely, you can actually see the markings indicating where the fences will drop down. I even heard the fences were electrified. That part might not actually be true, though. The way to get around it lay in the paintings. The paintings on either end of the hallway have small buttons underneath the frames. Pressing them deactivates the sensors for 2 minutes. More than enough time to cross. This all seemed a bit excessive. Building it from the ground up would probably be too much. However, according to Miss Ija, the chain link fences were already there when she became governor. The previous governor apparently had them constructed where they dropped down manually. Miss Ija just adapted to work with sensors to be an actually efficient security measure. It wasn't a super well-kept secret, though. Only a little handful of people knew about it. So basically, it's like that thing in Mr. Burns' office that drops trapdoor, or, and even he doesn't know where it goes since most of the time since they were in there when they all moved in, apparently. But those security measures, then again, I guess to Governor Zahak must have been the one to install them. My guess to catch someone who was trying to leave rather than act as a security system, if I had to wager it. The other security measures were all the stuff that experienced burglars could get around. However, something like this nobody could anticipate, and would almost certainly foil any nefarious plot, and if I knew Miss Ija well enough, there was probably one other super secret measure only she and maybe a different group of people knew about. Not that I needed to concern myself with that. Sentry mode deactivated, I walked down the hallway and opened the door left to Miss Ija's office. Yeah, so she's really paranoid. Then again, she was the one who hired an assassin in a supposedly sure thing election. She probably expected me to get here slightly early. I hope she didn't hold that against me. She probably wouldn't. She's nice. Devon. Ma'am. I slightly bowed. It's been far, far too long since we've had a nice chat. That is my fault. No, it's nobody's fault. Anyways, I'm glad we get to meet, even if it isn't slightly, strange. Please, come in. Make yourself at home. I just nodded this and moved forward to take a seat opposite to Ija. Her room was quite lovely. Back walls were bookshelves housing who knows how many stories. Side walls held several plaques, pictures, medals, a display case or two. The rug on the floor was equal parts luxurious and down to earth. There are a number of interesting other knickknacks on Ija's desk. A Rubik's Cube, a little globe, an actual pen sitting in an ink pot, a jar of loose change, a statue of an emperor made of jade. And right behind Miss Ija was the piece that finally brought the whole place together. Painted with surprising detail, Ija stood proudly in front of Panthea, a calm smile plastered on her face. I thought it was a very good portrait. The artist, NARC, usually did street work, but Miss Ija personally reached out to them to make this important piece of art. I always thought it was really emblematic of Miss Ija's personality, looking to reach out to the little people. The whole room was lit by a sole lamp standing in the corner of the room. Miss Ija had a personal lamp on her desk, and the room had a regular lighting, but at night she liked this setup. So how have you been, Devon? Staying healthy? Of course, I make sure to maintain a solid diet and exercise regularly. That is not what I mean. I'm talking about your mental health. Oh, that's fine too. Is it? Last time we spoke, you opened about some doubts you had on that end. You know, the last thing I want is for you to lose yourself into the clouds. I've been fine, really. I was only half lying. Sure, I've been starting to spiral more frequently as of late, but I've also been catching myself more frequently. To me, that's progress. More importantly, there hasn't been any sign of those spirals interfering with my work. I was just as useful as ever. I really think you should consider seeing a therapist. I have someone in mind. I could give you a personal referral if you like. No, I don't want to give you undue work. Really, giving you a referral to a therapist is no sweat off my back, but opening up to a therapist would give you more work, right? It was rare Miss Ija didn't have a response. Trust me, I'm fine. After a pause, Miss Ija sighed. I trust you on this matter. Still, I want you to look after yourself. What about any hobbies? I know you like to keep yourself busy, but you still have plenty of spare time. You should take up an interest. I think that's healthy. Once again, I don't know, ma'am. I tried looking for interests when I was young. I didn't really do well in any of them. Having a hobby isn't just excelling at it. An interest is something you do for no other reason than you like to do the act in and of itself. It's a zen thing. That didn't coincide with how I remember it. If you're bad at it, what's even the point? I also didn't really find anything that spoke to me. You've grown as a person, haven't you? You've matured. Your tastes have matured. I'm sure you might find joy in things you previously didn't. Maybe. At the very least, I think it's worth a shot. It'd be healthy, if you say so. What about you, ma'am? Excuse me? You said hobbies are a good thing to have. Do you have one of your own? What do you do to kill stress? I let out a light, gentle laugh. Unfortunately not, Devon. You may have free time, but I'll not be so lucky in the coming years. Keeping a city in check is a taxing occupation. Doubly so when that city is Panthea. But you know all about that. Still, I know you're not working 24/7. How are you spending your free time? Devon, we were talking about you. It's impolite to try and change the topic. Sorry, ma'am. I wasn't trying to be... Oh, I know. Of course, you'd never try and be impolite. I'm just letting you know so you can do better in the future, okay? Right, thank you, ma'am. That's useful to know. Good. Glad that matter's settled. As Aya just stretched out her arms, then put them back on the desk and began to tap them in a rhythmic fashion. So with that matter settled, we should probably move on to other matters, ones I've called you here to discuss. I recognize that transition. Miss Aya's face mostly remained the same, but I could tell their expression was slightly different from the one she wore before. It took a long time for me to recognize that change. This was business Ija. Good. Backwards as it was, I felt more comfortable with business Ija. This was more familiar. Oh, ma'am? Yes, Devon. If you don't mind, I have a question to ask. By all means, feel free to ask it. Okay. Took a deep breath. After the Athen job, I removed all evidence of my presence and left, all according to plan. Once I exited the building, I ran away. Right? That's all very good. Right, so I checked the news after it all happened. Do that a lot, just so you know, to get some idea of the public sentiment of the thing. And I found out there were 2 people that died that night. Correct. I was there when they found the second body. Horrible event, that. I'd imagine, but, I don't know how to phrase what I was about to say. The last thing I wanted to do was come across insulting or accusatory, but I felt to regret if I didn't ask. I looked into more, and according to on the article, the victim seemed to be killed by being struck over the head with a bronze bell. And, to most people that'd be a coincidence, but that doesn't really seem likely. I mean, we'll sing a psalm. I said the thrush as she sat on a bush. I'll sing a psalm. We'll toll the bell. I said the bull because I can pull. I'll toll the bell. Matches the next verse, but I didn't kill that person. I'm the Cock Robin killer, but I don't know what that body's doing there, and from the report on the article, it doesn't look like the bell could have been planted post-mortem either. Why so quick to jump to conclusions? Sometimes a bell is just a bell. Well, that's... Thought about what Mr. Ija just said. It's possible this murder weapon's just a coincidence? No, something like that was too unlikely. I don't think that's likely. I mean, it's a murder at the same place. I can't write that off as a coincidence. You're probably right about that. Oh well. For your next mission, remember to skip the bell. Yes, of course, I know that, but that's not what I'm asking. You're asking something? I've yet to hear a question. Unfortunately, we already know from the other storyline that Ija was responsible for hijacking the Cock Robin killings, even though Devon here is the Cock Robin killer who was hired. What happened to that victim? Ija looked down, considering her words carefully. Twice now, I caught her at a loss for words. Eventually, however, she composed herself and gave a simple response. Doesn't matter. It isn't something you need to concern yourself with. We can just view it as a lucky case of additional noise. Move on. Move on? How could I just do that? It was an attractive offer. I didn't want to linger on this more than she did. Regretting it, I had a spark of curiosity, and a much more common spark of uncertainty. I don't know if I can do that, Miss Ija. This seems like something important, something I deserve an answer to. Deserve? Something I'd like to know, I mean. It's just, as far as I know, there are only 3 people in the world who know the truth about the Cock Robin killer, and I know I didn't kill that guy. And I know the other person couldn't have done it either, not with this time frame. Devon! I didn't like the direction that she was heading with this, however I couldn't stop now. Additionally, there were some details in the Oracle that stuck out to me. The reporter found the body, they'd already been dead for a bit. The Psalm connection wasn't found until the police arrived and searched the body. I don't know when exactly the Bell victim died, however. I do know that even before the police arrived, nobody was allowed to leave the venue for any reason. The Bell verse comes after the Psalm verse. People just don't happen to have bells on them, so one way or another, I'm pretty sure the killer had to know the Psalm verse would be fulfilled that night ahead of time. Devon, are you seriously implying I killed the man aside? That's not... As you pointed out, Mr. Atham's found dead. After Mr. Atham's found dead, no one was allowed to leave. That includes me. Therefore, it's impossible that I would have anything to do with the Bell victim. Besides, it's not clear when they were killed. If you wanted, you could have easily left the gala earlier, killed him, and slipped back in for Mr. Athan. That's... Man, if you want somebody dead, you know I would have been more than happy to do the job. That's why I'm here, to kill for you. I'm just worried that if you took matters in your own hands, if there's any evidence leads back to you. That's enough! In a way I hadn't heard before, she raised her voice. She was clearly legitimately angry. Uh-oh. You're accusing me of murder, of killing a man. I assure you, I do no such thing, and if you continue to make such baseless accusations, there will be consequences. I went too far. Stupid, so stupid. I'm sorry, ma'am. I was just completely out of line. I meant no offense. For a few moments, Ija just stared at me with fury in her eyes. Then she gradually recomposed herself. For your information, this gala is my personal fundraiser. As host, I was indentured with many duties, including constantly having my way around the room, greeting guests, and having the right conversations. If you were to take witness statements, everyone there could attest that at no point could I slip out of sight. Additionally, as you so wisely pointed out, if I want someone dead, I would simply contact you for that. Please know that I had absolutely no knowledge of the death of Maximilian Collins ahead of time, and I do not know the identity of whoever killed them. Of course, I'm so sorry to have questioned you. Leave it there. Then is not an issue. That somebody died in line with the Cock Robin killings and we didn't know about it. That isn't your concern. Alright. Again, I'm sorry. Miss Ida took a deep sigh and adjusted herself in the chair. It's fine. Honestly, I should expect outbursts like this more frequently. Just try and keep mind your place. Making accusations like that is not your place. Understood? Understood. I think you should remember why we're all doing this. It's so easy to simplify the situation and have doubts. But what we're doing, Devon, is important, and people like to complain about Panthea, about how it is now, how short the memories are. Do they remember what it was like before I rose to power, before I was elected? We were a shit stain on the map, a nothing. Now we're the capital of a thriving industry, crime is down, prospects are up. We're slowly becoming, well, a utopia. A place where everyone can live simply and happily. Exactly. Right now we're going through some growing pains. Getting to the utopian place is a very slow process, made doubly so since I have to spend much of my time maintaining the status quo. People are inevitably attracted to seats of power, and the governor's seat seems the most attainable. Get the wrong person in my seat, and all that power could be spent on personal luxuries and ill-thought-out policies. So, of course, much effort must be spent on keeping me in my seat. Sacrifices must be made to keep me in my seat, because if I fell from my seat, it would all be for nothing. Because I spend so much time trying to keep my seat, the march toward utopia moves ever slower. People complain I haven't done much in the relatively little amount of time I've had. They aren't patient. Most people aren't. Rome wasn't built in a day, but finally, we're in a subtle enough equilibrium that I can spend more time creating this utopia. As you can start, and already you can start seeing results of my vision. Obviously, I have to take small steps. Anything too drastic will disrupt the balance. But unlike most people, I am patient. I see the larger picture. Make a utopia together, Devon. And once we have, the last act can be cleaning away the filth we've ignored for the sake of stability. And then retirement and peace. We retire having been useful. More than useful, we'll have saved the entire city, and if we pull it off, it'll be amazing. It'll be a dream. We'd have to be dreaming. Thinking that such results can be built without blood, sweat, and tears. This is why your job is so important. I nodded. I'm not the first to attempt something like this, but I'll be the one that succeeded. I've learned from the mistakes of the past. There won't be an apis ready to gore me to death, nor not so long as I have you. Exactly, man. Miss Ija was exactly right. That was my value, making sure that she could shape the city the way it needed to be shaped. Already, her policies were helping all of Panthea. She'd just gotten started to put all of her plans into effect. If I could make that happen, my job would have been worth it. So, in the name of these plans, was worth it to become a killer? Who's to say these plans really work? No, I couldn't spiral now, but really, did I agree with all this? Do these values hold up? I shook those thoughts away. Of course, this held up. There are two simple truths in life. Without power, you cannot make change. Without tenacity, you cannot protect power. You cannot deny either of those things. So Ija's logic held firm, and making a change by killing is the best I could hope for. It was the only way to make good my skill set. I remember when I first joined the army. It wasn't out of any sense of patriotism. I didn't give two shits about the war. About war. In fact, I didn't even know much about the war at all. The little bit I did know made me suspect that we weren't even on the right side of it, though that was a bit above me. No, I joined it for far less inspiring reasons. I just didn't have any meaning in life. I wanted to get away from home. I wanted to feel like a hero. I wanted to feel something. On some level, I wasn't scared of dying. All those factors combined with a random whim to drive me right into the army. Combined with a random whim to drive me right into the army. That was a real turning point in my life. For good or bad, I remained unsure. The glorious ideal of my army life that gets tossed around doesn't really reflect reality at all. Well, that didn't exactly catch me off guard. I'd already been warned not to expect much. Still, I was surprised by how mundane much of my army life was in the beginning. It mostly consisted of harsh training and a strict regiment. I got in shape. I learned how to use weapons. I learned how to operate a base. I had a very strict schedule. I had to show complete obedience, and I kind of thrived in that environment. I mean, detailing such a strict regimen was pretty much a non-issue, and I might not be able to excel at math or arts, but you can do push-ups and firing drills as many times as you want. It might have been brutal, but it was simple in a way I could appreciate. To improve, you just had to work. I could handle that. So I worked, and then I improved, and I acted as a model soldier for a while. And while I got some slight acknowledgement from my superiors for this, not much of it came initially. For a long time, my army life was aimless. Then all of a sudden, things got less boring. The base I was holed up in was the subject of a surprise attack. Before I knew what was happening, I could smell sulfur and hear gunfire. We were caught completely unawares. Most of the soldiers I spent time with died in the attack. I felt sad for them, but never got particularly close to them either. Nowadays, I don't even remember most of them. This isn't one of those cases where I was traumatized or outraged by the deaths of my friends or anything. I'm only really bringing up all their deaths to contrast with my survival. I remember that night with crystal clarity. I remember where and when I shot every enemy soldier. Despite so much of my comrades dying, I was oddly calm the whole time. Felt as though I was going to die any moment anyway, so might as well play for the high score, headshot, double kill. Ultimately, I ended up killing dozens of enemy soldiers. I don't know exactly how it happened. It's not like I was a god of war or anything. I was just using my training to the best of my ability. I still don't know why I was able to survive that attack. Maybe taking my training that legitimately improved my skills a significant amount over my peers. Maybe my cold demeanor during the incident allowed me to view things with an increased amount of logic. Maybe the luck of my bloodline finally kicked in when it mattered most. I don't know how to explain it. All I know is that despite the numbers advantage, we won that battle, and the person who killed the most enemy combatants single-handedly was me. That what was a blur was what happened next. Reinforcements came. I was referred to a psychiatrist or something shortly after. That battle was the first and last time I was officially in combat during my army years. The war ended up ending pretty shortly after the incident. Not because we won or lost, but the country just decided it wasn't worth fighting any longer. It was time to just stop having people kill each other. Regardless, I was still applauded for my actions. I was actually given a pretty prestigious award for my heroic last stand. It was a nice-looking medal. I remember the awkward ceremony. There's so many big shots in the room. Even my father bothered showing up. Everyone applauded. Then I remember the weird dissonance in my head at the time. What did I do to deserve this? What I did, if you recall, was kill a couple dozen people to try and stay alive. I didn't think it was particularly notable. It wasn't even a demonstration of outstanding skill or anything. I still felt like my survival was a fluke. This was the most acknowledgement I've ever received in my life, and I was getting it for mass murder? It didn't really click for me then. Shortly after being dismissed from the army, I fell into the darkest period of my life. I didn't understand things like I did now. See, chalking things up to murder was missing the point. Killing people didn't really matter. Big picture, people die all the time. Now, that doesn't mean we should just be stabbing random people for no reason, but there's plenty of times where a single death is outweighed by the good of the death it causes. In that last stand of mine, I might have killed a lot of people, but it was for a good cause. Because of my actions, the country kept that base firm. It helped end the war faster. Really, I'm grateful for my time in the army. Well, I don't know if it helped end the war faster, since they outright said it wasn't worth sticking with financially. When you do something for the first time, it opens a pathway in your brain. Every time you do it after the first time, the pathway opens up a little more. The first time, when the pathway is still closed, that's the hardest. Because of that attack, the killing pathway is open for me, and because of my time in the army, I had the skills that I was now putting to good use. At any rate, I believe we should begin to discuss actually relevant business matters. I just hit like a jolt of electricity. I've been zoning out. First and foremost, I must congratulate you for the Athens job. Excellently handled as always. Thank you, ma'am. It's unfortunate he will no longer be a donation stream for us, but sadly it was an inevitability. As I said, the man got greedy. But not particularly smart. Knowing as much as he did, he still thought it wiser to attempt to blackmail us? Ha. I would have thought him wiser than that. Well, perhaps he was back in the day. Age takes us all after all, and Athen was only barely holding on at that point. Sad to see, sad to see. We shouldn't have let him know anything in the first place. That was an inevitability. The man was wise and powerful enough to hire investigators for anyone he got in business with, and not the type that could be handled. For the longest time, he was a sensible ally for our cause. I think it was to be best to remember the time we had with him and dismiss his latest transgression as nothing more than a dying man's impulse. How merciful man. I believe in mercy. I respect mercy. I wish I could afford to give it more often. Mercy in a world that gives none isn't mercy. It's a weakness. My dad taught me that. Yes, that does track. Yeah, there's definitely times to be smart about it. Like, I'm kind of on the fence as to whether or not it was right for the Vels to leave Yi alive, but at the same time, like as mentioned, he's pretty much on his way out now. Odds are, if he isn't killed by one of the Lara sympathizers upon their discovering he might just bleed out upon discovering where he's crumpled in that room. He might just bleed out on his own. And with that, that's two of the main we now know two of the four main pillars have been toppled. Possibly a third, since the corruption in the police force was revealed, but the issue is that Police Chief Ariane is still pulling a Joseph Manderley, which means we still need to find a way to get her out of office. Ija, however, may be a bit easier, and if we give her the boot, then it's pretty easy to simply have the governor place a new police chief in charge, so perhaps simply taking out Ija will be killing two birds with one stone. Well, it is a true enough sentiment, sad as they may be. Hopefully one day we can afford to run you out of a job. But it often feels like the day keeps getting further and further away. Miss Ija looked wistfully out the window. If I was more naive, I would have thought I might not be the only one having second thoughts. Ma'am, I do sincerely apologize. I failed to fulfill the optional objective. I promise I'll do better in the future. Oh, that's fine. Honestly, thinking back, the flourish seems entirely unnecessary. Sure, it'd be nice to get the moral high ground for a bit. Having your constituents be falsely accused is a great look. The Oracle will have a field day with that. But Mr. Shea spun the story wonderfully even without that addition. Honestly, you need to pay good money for that sort. You usually need to pay good money for the sorts of press he provides. If I didn't know better, I would have thought I had him on my payroll. The top donator of Governor Ija's was murdered by an unknown assailant. That alone was enough material to string a number of conspiracies and sympathetic headlines. Since nobody knew about the blackmailing thing, the murder looked to be a loss for Ija, not a gain. The important thing is, there appears no evidence was left tying you to the scene. You're still completely clean. Nothing even had to be scrubbed away. Good on that, by the way. So long as you're still able to do your job, you're still important. Thank you, ma'am. Ija leaned back in the chair, relaxed some. But I know you tend to get in your head about your failures. I hope you don't obsess over the optional objective thing. Look at it this way. If you're that bothered about it, there's always the optional assignment. She was referring to Laverna. Apparently she'd been called to the scene to help investigate a murder. She was the one who saw through my ruse and foiled the optional objective. When I heard about that, I felt vindicated. I knew that the usual crew wouldn't see through my ploy. Not that fast, at any rate. Laverna seemed reasonably intelligent. In this business, that's a bad thing. She needed to be handled. I'll get right on that, ma'am. In fact, I've already begun making preparations. There's already some oddities about her. Angel suggests, oh, not so fast. Miss Ija interrupted me and placed down a file on the table for me. Dealing with Laverna would certainly be useful. However, there's a slightly more pressing job. Now, granted, I'm making this an optional assignment. There's an individual. They don't pose massive threat that he is than Laverna. I consider him a bit of a risk in the short term. Note that at this point in the storyline, Laverna was targeted pretty much before she solved the mystery. Yeah, meaning Ija considered her a threat pretty much immediately. Yeah, even before she was starting helping the police. And of course, her concerns would prove well-founded later on, but that's the thing. Laverna was marked as a target very early on. Although the fact that hers ends on such a cliffhanger implies that we may still see Devin succeed in his role. Although granted, we have quite a few others aware with what's truly going on with Panthea here, not just Laverna. It's just Laverna's the most overt about it. And yes, for the record, I do strongly believe Devin was the one that Vels and Krish and Polly got into a scuffle with. I picked up the file and then began to thumb through it. Who is this punk threatening Governor Ija's position? Name, lock, skills, gambling prowess, experience, cheater, pro-con man, personality, exceedingly arrogant, scheming, skeptical, intelligent, Notable traits: may possess large amounts of money. Known locations: spends most nights at Nohoy's Nest, an underground gambling casino. Attached to the file is a slightly blurry photo. Terrible lighting, bad angle, but I can make out the general make of him. His tacky suit and unkempt hair definitely helped in the identification front. I looked over it a few more times, then I looked back at Masaya. Is this seriously all the information we have on this guy? Isn't information gathering part of your job? Yes, of course. Like a lot of the city's unscrupulous characters, information on him is scant. Is this not sufficient for you to do your job adequately? No, of course not. I can handle things with this. It'll be a bit difficult, but nothing I couldn't deal with. If you don't mind, could I know why you're dealing with him? Same reason as Laverna. He's an unknown factor that seems to threaten my position. The reason he's of higher priority is because he seems to pose an active threat as opposed to a passive one. I'm still unaware of exactly what he has in mind, but frankly, it would be preferable to deal with him before we do. That's all you need to know. Of course, ma'am. She's right, and that's all I needed to know. If he posed a threat keeping the city safe, then he had to be dealt with. In addition, he seemed to be a low-rate scammer spending nights on low-life on casinos. It shouldn't be too much of a problem removing a character like this. Lack of info made dealing with him a bit of a problem, but I was patient. I knew where he spent his time. He'd appear there before too long. Well then, if that's all you wish to discuss, you can go now. The payment for the last job will be delivered shortly. Of course, ma'am. I trust the lock problem would be dealt with adequately, handled in due time. Good. Oh, but don't stress over it too much. I mean what I said. It's unhealthy for you to wholly devote yourself to your business. You have no use to anyone if you become unhinged. I'll practice in moderation. And I'll look for some sort of hobby. Excellent, excellent. Have a pleasant week, Devin. And I look forward to our next meeting. Perhaps then it can be a more personal meeting. I nodded and left the room. Inside my heart, I couldn't agree with that last statement. By the time our next meeting, I would deal with the job. I'd show her my conviction by achieving results. I was a weapon, the city's weapon. Weapons were important. Without them, evil would be undeterred and uninterrupted. But no, not just a weapon. There are plenty of people willing to turn themselves into weapons. I had to be the perfect weapon. When aimed at a target, I'd shoot post-haste and never miss. Sorry, Locke, wherever you are, I hope you enjoy your last hours alive. I like Tally. Tally's fun, Tally's cute. I'd love to get a drink with Tally. Not a big Secretary Ghani fan, gotta be real here. And, yeah. Look, I don't have a lot more to say on this one. Not to say I didn't appreciate the scene, and you damn well better have appreciated it. That stack was exponentially more difficult to create for obvious reasons. I'm just saying, nothing to jump out crack wise about. Nothing calls out to my soul, but I should do something, you know? Alright, here's an idea. Gambles. Gambles always put me in a good mood. You like gambling? Let's see, what to gamble about? Think of something super peripheral to plot, have a nice change of pace. Like, how about Devin's dad? You know, the one we got, like, a snippet about? I mean, clearly the father messed him up somehow. I don't think I'm blowing any minds with that revelation. Dollars Don'ts, Devin ended up reflecting him on us some more before this is all over. In fact, I don't need to bet dollars, don'ts, or whatever saying. I know for a fact we get more information. Think Dad's still around, or do you think he's 6 feet under? Both seem plausible. It's a strong way to determine one way or another the perfect bet. So what do you say? Let's go with he's dead. Cool, I have no opinions on this bet because it's just kind of sort of random. Wait, does that make it a bad bet? No, no way, no. Yeah, this is a good bet. Now put down some chips. Make it a decent one. Still make out with over 50 if I lose. Good bet, good talk. This was good. The failure. Hate to call it here, but it's a bit late, and I got started a bit later than usual, so I think we're going to call it for tonight. Alright. Well, next time we're going to probably be focusing pretty much entirely on Devin's story here, so what if you would like to... We're going to be seeing it from one of the villain's point of views. Well, I suppose basically everyone in this story could be seen as a hero or villain, depending on your point of view. Like, nobody here is really... Even Laverna, after all, well, I guess Laverna. No, Laverna was also doing a bunch of stuff behind the... No, she was also only doing stuff behind the police chief and governor's back, largely because she knew they could not be trusted. And as we've seen in the other stories, that is 100% accurate, so... I guess well, I guess she could also be hiding stuff we are unaware of. As you've probably noticed throughout these stories, there's a lot of cases of stuff just happening off-screen that you have to see other stories in order to get. But we should have the majority of the picture now, so we move ever closer to the conclusion. Alright, well, until next time, thank you for coming, I'll see you later.